It's a plane, it's a dork, it's a couple dorks, reminiscing some nostalgia in classic video games, toys, and cartoons. I'm your boy Blaise McCoy, and with my awesome friend Super Nacho, we invite you to join us in the Legion of Dork, a podcast where we talk about our favorites of the past and discuss it all with you. The good old days when video game arcades were full, pinball, and more. When the toy stores were stocked to the ceilings with all your favorites like G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. Well, it started all with Pong with me in the 70s. Then Atari, Nintendo, Sega, ColecoVision, and television, and more brought new classics. Classics like Space Invaders, pew pew pew, and Donkey Kong, Pitfall, Dig Dug was a great one. Spent a lot of quarters on Galaga, that's for damn sure. Tecmo Bowl, hut, touchdown, and all the sports games. Super Mario Brothers became an instant classic, so did Zelda and Sonic the Hedgehog. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was a great one to play. So was Street Fighter, Hadouken, and all the fighting games. Star Wars toys and Hot Wheels is where I started collecting toys back in the day. Masters of the Universe, and you can't forget the bad guys. Of course, Transformers, more than meets the eye. Inhumanoids are here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes in a Half Shell. Can't forget the wrestling figures, WWF, AWA, and those little guys, the Muscles. Yeah, love playing with those, are great. Thundercats, ho! And even Voltron brought them all together with movies, cartoons, and toys. Join us in the Legion of Dork right here on the Blaise Radio Network here on YouTube. What's up, everybody? I'm all twisted and discombobulated. What happened to Spider-Man? Oh, my goodness. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Blaise McCoy in a big fucked up Spider-Man mask. Oh, they twisted me. Oh, they got me, people. Oh, my head. It's not Spidey sense. It's killing me. What the hell is going? There we go. Hey, everybody. It's your boy Blaise McCoy. Welcome to the show. How you doing out there? Let's see who we have, because I can't see a damn thing in this thing. Earl Cole dropping a comment. Thank you so much, my brother. Welcome to the show. You're tuned into Blaise Radio. And that's my super awesome friend, Nacho, in the building. We'll be talking to him very shortly. Stay tuned. Elizabeth Ramirez, big shout out to you in the live chat. CH Gaming, what's going on? Salute to you, my brother. Yeah, under here it is, your boy Blaise McCoy somewhere. Oh, no, did I just give away my secret identity? I'm not Peter Parker. I'm not Peter Porker. I'm none of that stuff. It's your boy Blaise McCoy. Don't worry. Can't wear this very long. It's hard to breathe. Yeah, clap for that. That's real nice. Good to see a PFW. Shifty, the Drunken Dragon Clown, is in the building. Great to see you, my brother. Keep in mind, I did put out the StreamYard string link in the private chats if anybody wants to join us here tonight. Click on it. Come on in and talk shop with us after we show off some stuff. Jamar Games is in the building. Great to see you, Jamar. Curdy B is in the house, my friend. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Spider McCoy. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Uh-oh. Shifty's doing a spit take. I'm a little worried about that. No Radio Rex here tonight, people. No worries. No Radio Rex showing up here tonight at all. It's just your boy Blaise McCoy, and I want to welcome you all to the Legion of Dork. Hotfire Rose is in the house. Blaze Spider, you're friendly, not so neighborly, not so friendly, not so neighborly. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Wow, Matt Outlaw's in the building. Good to see you. surrounded by toys, surrounded by fun. Yeah, last night was War Games. I do have a little War Games set up for everybody here and some wrestling figures. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. He-Man's with me here. Some even the shit emoji has joined. I'll get this sooner or later. The shit emoji has joined the fun. We're having fun tonight. We're going to talk toys. We're going to talk video games. And we're going to talk about cartoons. And we're going to talk about everything in between. Even some comic book action. How about it? Big shout out to everybody in the live chat stopping by. Please hit the like button if you haven't already for your boy Blaise McCoy and the Legion of Dork. Don't be scared, folks. I'll take care of all the bad guys. Well, I don't have any bad guys with me. I got the biggest, the baddest good guy of them all. There's Elfie and Chuck D. Great to see you. Great to see you. Always a pleasure. Now, it wouldn't be a Blaise radio show without a kerfuffle of errors, problems, issues, and whatnot. But I would be remiss to not come up with a certain introduction for my special guest, my co-host, my awesome friend. Ladies and gentlemen, he's faster than a speeding crack dealer being chased by the cops. He's more powerful than a roid-raging linebacker. Yes, he really is. He's able to leap tall stuff with a running start. He's the neighbor of Jeff. Really? He's the moron of steel. Get ready, folks. It's Super Nacho. Welcome, brother.
What's up, man?
I'm trying to really start us out with some energy, but it's so good to have you, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for this guy right here. I'll tell you that much. There's Big Pete in the building. Pete, your beard. You have some competition over here with the beard. Nacho, it's great to have you, my friend. I hope you're doing well today. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. This
is something I know we've discussed, and you're a lot more knowledgeable in the fine details of the things than I am, but I'm a fan. So I'll give you the host perspective, the fan perspective, and the wild and wacky perspective that I always give. We got 12 in the house. Hit them thumbs. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. We're going to talk video games. We're going to talk toys, as you see around me. And we're going to talk a little cartoons, comic books, and everything in between. So originally, I was going to start out with a little bit of my backstory. But let's hear from you first, Nacho, and just tell me a little bit about maybe how you got into the memorabilia, the nostalgia. I mean, everyone has, I hope most people have toys and play with them, but the things that we played with have come so far into movies, into figures that are now collectibles worth some money and things that we really wish we would have kept in the box unopened for some of them. We could be millionaires right now.
Oh, God, yeah.
Same as my collectibles, as I do sports cards collectibles. These things have become parts of our childhood, but, just there's Riley Wolf. There's Hot Fire Rose and Mark Caliber, too. Great to see you guys. But just tell me a little bit about how you got into this even more in depth and the things that you collected back in the day.
Well, the thing was, I was that nerd. Once I discovered comics and cartoons and toys, I never stopped. So, I was the perfect age for Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, Transformers, right on into Ninja Turtles and Spawn, and just on and on.
But to see those things turn into movies and stuff nowadays, to have
I know
the Disney Channel and all these different things to where now I remember when the Transformer the movie came out, I was like, wow. I mean, it's a cartoon movie, but it was something. I was huge into Transformers. We're going to talk about a couple of the things that we feature today in a little bit, and we're going to give you some blasts from the past. I can't wait to tell you guys and gals out there and show you the surprises we have in store here for this little show. It's a trial and error type of thing. I mean, it came about. First of all, I'm going to have to reveal myself. Let me get a drum roll for it.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to breathe in that thing.
It's getting tough. Figure is a good way to start it off, though. Oh, yeah. Sorry to disappoint you all. It's me. It's Blaise McCoy. Okay. So, I mean, we talked about on my show last week. I forget how it even came up, but it started talking about old toys and video games. And we talked about, what did you play when you were a kid? And what was your favorite toy? And how did you get into collecting these and those? And the next thing you know, the idea came up. Maybe we should do a podcast and really talk about it. There he is. There's the kid, Jack Bendo, in the building. Big shout out in the live chat.
Yeah, it's my son.
Awesome. Great to have you. Good to see you, man. We got family and friends all invited. Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you. It wasn't Radio Rex, Riley. Jeez. But we have a lot of things I want to discuss. For me, it was He-Man and Transformers. Those are my two number ones. What were your two top ones when you were a kid?
Oh, definitely He-Man, number one.
We'll see that. We'll see that shortly. I have some
all
pictures.
Over this room. Now I collect with my daughter. Both my kids grew up playing with my He-Man toys.
So I mentioned it. We went over so many names. Hey, there's Zerk in the building. What's happening, brother? Great to see you. We went over so many names of games and toys, but I even said in mine, me and my brother, I have a brother that's 2 years younger than me. So it was not only preference, but so we could kind of play with each other's toys and not spend all at once. So I was Transformers and He-Man. He was G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he was big in he was big into Robotech and some of the more, and he collected guns, all these toy guns, tons of them. He was really into them. But that's how, if I wanted to play with G.I. Joe, he had tons. I only had a couple, and vice versa. But I was, one of those ones that would set up the He-Man figures, good guys, bad guys, have a big war. I even set up base. He reminded me when I told my brother we were doing this, that back in the day, I used to take little books and make a outfield. And then I would take pieces of paper and make baselines. Then I would take the baseball cards, put them at their respective bases, take a little spitball or eraser from a pencil, and that was the ball. I would literally use the cards to hit the ball, move them around, keep score. Awesome. These are the type of dorks you guys are dealing with here, man. But nowadays, that's why I like dork and geek aren't really bad words.
No, they're not anymore.
No, it's become cooler than cool.
Yeah, it's crazy that the things we used to get picked on and beat up for in high school are now suddenly the zeitgeist of pop culture.
It took it took quite a long time, but as we grow older, and I'm 48, I'm pushing 50, so I was late 70s, early 80s is when I really started collecting and stuff. And I'm literally sharing this stream out to some of my other friends to see if we can get some more people in here that enjoy this shit. But it's been I'm one of those guys, not really a hoarder, but I keep a lot of stuff. And I just before we went on the air, I said, man, Nacho, it's finally coming. We're glad we kept a lot of stuff for stuff like this. Let's share it with people out there. And for 5 years, I built this community, and I should say all the people in the community have built this community to have a lot of fun with it and to do the wrestling thing first. But now, I'm doing NFL on Sundays. I'm doing the WrestleSense podcast. I wanted to expand, wanted to do more, but health reasons and other things, I just couldn't do it. But recently, now that things have been coming around, and that's one thing we talk about a lot. We got a lot of people in the community to deal with stuff, whether it's your kids or yourself or your better half, and ailments, whatever ails you or might be bothering you or bringing you down. We hope to take it away for a while. I say that spiel all the time. I mean that from my heart. This is our escapism. This is our place to get away from all that, and have some fun. Elfie had a lot of Star Wars toys back in the day. You're a hoarder, Riley. That's not bad to be a hoarder. I have a friend who he basically pretty much makes a living out of going to Goodwills and yard sales and stuff and finding gems and reselling them.
Yeah, I know how you feel, Elfie. My Star Wars stuff got sold by my mom at the yard sale.
Well, I always, I hate to even bring it up, but I had a couple Michael Jordan rookie cards from 1980s, and those are 6 figures now. Those would get me, if I would have the 4 cards that I had, the 4 Jordan rookies, I could sell them all for 100,000, maybe more, depending if they're graded, and almost clean a cool $1 million, which is crazy. But here's how I look at it. I spent $10 on a box of cards. I got whatever cards were in it, and I sold them for well over $100 to $200 when I was a teenager.
Damn.
So I made great, return on investment as it would be. So as much as I can beat myself up over wishing I had those toys, at the same time, I sold them when I could, and I made the most of it. Huge fan of it. Yep, Pete. Yep.
See, my problem is I used to collect everything, and
Yeah.
it got to be too much. Like I have a small apartment. I don't have a lot of room. I've sold off, I had hundreds of Transformers, a lot of superhero figures, old wrestlers. Just got rid of it all and just focused on He-Man.
I had a Stretch Armstrong too, Bagwell, and I had an Evil Knievel as well.
And Stretch Armstrong was awesome.
I had the Evil Knievel that had the little pull string, which you pulled it out and the son of a bitch took off. I love that thing.
I remember that one. I remember the little motorcycles with the.
There's a viral video right now where someone's playing with a bunch of those toys outside, and it is the Evil Knievel that they have jump in slow motion over a bunch of toys. It's really fun.
That's awesome.
Great to see everybody in the live chat. This is a subject that it took off on my live stream for like an hour. I mean, we had wrestling matches going on, and we just talked about games and toys and video game systems and stuff back in the day. And just a reminder, everyone out there, the StreamYards link is in the private chat of Facebook, Twitter, and Skype. If you want to join us later, we're going to bring a couple people on to talk about some stuff. We got some surprises along the way. As I told you, I do have my little War Games up here. And last night, War Games wasn't bad. I'll say it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. And a lot of my AEW, yeah, right. I wish I could get AEW figures. AWA figures and stuff here from back in the day. So I had to pay homage to War Games, being creative with my cage up here in a way. Big shout out to the stunt cycle. That's what it was called, with a wind up crank. Oh, okay. And we got a lot of people that are in between as well. So Freddie and Jason figures and stuff. Very cool.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those.
Hey, sports figures too started to become big with collectibles. Down here, I have a whole shelf full of starting lineups that were big back in the day. I still have, and
I was about to ask you if you had any starting lineups.
Yeah, and I'll show you. I got some pictures we'll show as well. We'll go over some pictures of the things and stuff we do, just to talk about different types of toys, and even in the years of the 90s and the 2000s, it kept evolving, and more games, more toys came out. We went through a bunch of different video game systems, but we're going to feature a couple, and we got a couple of surprises along the way too. So before we do, let's go ahead and talk about some of the He-Man figures. Now, Nacho sent me some pictures that I'm so jealous of because it brought back so many memories. I remember Manny Faces. I remember Mechaneck. I remember a lot of these guys. Man at Arms. Who's the big guy in the middle here? The bulldozer.
Ram Man?
Yeah, Ram Man. Yep. I'm bad with names. But you see Battle Cat, and what was the other lion? What was that one called?
Panther.
There you go.
Yep.
So,
yeah, these are my personal collection he's showing right now.
Yeah, and these are great. What about the bee? What was his name?
Buzz Off.
Yeah, that's a great name, too.
He-Man nerd. That's like my number one thing.
That's why I'm asking. And and this brings back a lot of my memories. Like I said, I had all these, and I'll never forget. I can picture it the day I sold them. Someone bought almost my whole collection out of my yard in a yard sale, and I'll never forget. It was $88 I got for them, so I was kind of happy about that. I did keep the original He-Man, so I do have the original He-Man here. So I have this guy. I couldn't get rid of him. I have his sword somewhere, but I didn't know where it was. Now, this wasn't his vehicle, but I can't remember what it was. Do you know?
That's the Roton. It's one of Skeletor's vehicles.
Well, we're pretending that He-Man stole it off of Skeletor in this scenario.
Why not?
Here. And a big Spider-Man fan, as you guys saw. If you watched the very beginning, I had to don the Spider-Man mask again. And a couple years ago, my brother, and yes, I'm using a floppy disk as my background. An old floppy disk. But my brother sent away to have a bobblehead of me made. And yes, if you don't know, I am bald. That's the way, and I have been for quite some time. Shaven at first, but bald nonetheless. And I always say, big ears, big nose, bald head, make fun of me all you want. Whether you're laughing at me or with me, you're smiling, blah, blah, blah. But my brother had this made, which is me in a bobblehead, dressed as friggin' Spider-Man. Now, I know you can get custom-made bobbleheads, but he really surprised me with this gift one of my birthdays. I love it. It's just really cool. And
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
so as we continue through our slideshow here, before we get to the real fun stuff, we have more of the figures from Nacho. There's Skeletor, all the evil ones here, ready to go ahead and torture everybody and come after us. And these are so many memories that go through my mind. You cannot forget Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, of course. I was reminded of that. I forgot about that on the stream the other night. Bagwell was a big Batman fan. Yeah. The big DC Marvel thing, I don't care. I love all superheroes and stuff like that. Do you have a preference?
I mean, I lean more towards DC, but I like Marvel too and other companies.
Yeah.
Good is good.
Yeah. And then, so more of it right here. Yeah, we're showing off the collection right here. We got a bunch of pictures to show off here. Castle Graveskull. There you go. Grayskull. I have the power. This is, if you guys watch a WrestleSend podcast, you've met Doc, one of my close friends that does commentating in 4 different indie federations in southwestern Pennsylvania. That's the stairwell going down into his basement. Not the creepy basement. You see who's protecting it too down there. You got good old Godzilla. These are all WWE and AEW and wrestling figures. That's just awesome. I'm very jealous of that. I mean, at least now he's pretty much a collector too, where he knows not to open them. And his 7-year-old boy, Bodie, was also a guest on our show as well. So big shout out to Doc and company there. Now, my friend, let's call him GVE. My friend G is a artist. He's a high school art teacher, and one of his passions is comic book collecting. He has those big boxes, probably about 30 of them, totally full of comics and stuff. It's unreal. This is a homemade drawing from him, not traced or anything, and colored, of good old Snake Eyes. Gotta love it. So I told him I'd show off a couple of his drawings here on the show. Skeletor as well.
Skeletor.
Great Skeletor. The Rocket Fist Godzilla, yeah. I actually had that one.
Warriors from
I lost the damn fist for a while that shot off. I was so mad. I was like, I can't have that.
They had the lever on the back of the head that like the tongue thing would stick out. They had the flame sticker on it. Is it his tongue or is it fire?
Exactly. Did it growl too or not? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think it just
newer ones did.
Didn't it have wheels on the feet too?
I think so. I had a Spider-Man van I like to complain about too because one of my friends up the street stole it from me. There's Frozen Rage, the biggest. That's right. Why do you think it's called the Legion of Dork, Rage? You're finally catching on after all these years. Well, if you guys missed it earlier, I was revealed to be not Peter Parker, but not Spider-Man, but unfortunately just Blaise McCoy. But this fucking drawing here is amazing, and I can't wait till he colors it. Good. It is. I mean, the lines, the size, the ratio. I mean, it's just perfectly to scale, and the detail that he does with shading and stuff. So amazing. I'm so glad he finally has a little website too. I need to promote it, and I'll end up putting it in the comments so you guys can check it out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, and Beetle. Easy for me to say.
Man, I remember Beetleborgs. That's not one you hear about too often.
No. So I wanted to get a close-up of some of the stuff that's behind me. These are some of my Star Wars figures. And I still have this original, and it's not in the package like I wish, but good old Luke. And of course with the retractable lightsaber.
Telescoping lightsaber. Yeah.
Isn't that great? Now I had a friend who's just talking on a stream, Pittsburgh, that does the transparent grading team for the sports cards, and they got into this conversation on their stream. And the one guy was like, "Hey, I went and got a real lightsaber made. Like they went to, I guess it's one of the Disney World. Disneyland has like a Star Wars theme park part.
Oh yeah, one of the attractions is you build a lightsaber.
Yes, and he said, listen, he got it in the mail. He had to design it, and they sent it to him. He was like, listen, this thing is legit. He said it weighed like 10 pounds, and it was like a real-life lightsaber. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's pretty awesome. Another one of my favorite, and yes, I can't wait till the show comes out, is good old Boba Fett. and he'll be on Disney soon with his own show here soon. And yes,
Yeah,
I'm
the book
if
Boba Fett.
the Book
Yep.
of Boba. I'm using an old school floppy for my background here. So just Tonka trucks. You see a couple little Tonka trucks up front. One of my first toys was an original Tonka trucks, and those were, you remember those, man, Nacho?
Oh God, yeah, the big old metal ones. Yep.
The die casts, they were heavy as shit. I mean, you fall on one of those, you're getting hurt. These are just little plastic replicas, but of course, good old Jabba. You can't forget Jabba the Hutt. There is the original Jabba. So I had to show him off too.
I don't blame you.
No, he's still in pretty good condition.
Yeah,
Like,
he looks like he's in really good shape.
I was always one to kind of put things in boxes, put things in plastic bins and stuff to at least preserve it a little bit. Charlie Seazall's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, I'm really glad we got that win against the Ravens too. Spider-Verse most disappointing alternate reality. Of course, Riley got to play heel a little. I'm looking forward to that movie too to see how it comes out. But there's the newest
live action one or the animated one.
The new live action one.
Yeah, because they just released a trailer for the animated one with Miles. They're doing the second one of that.
Oh, the first one was amazing. I love that. Yeah. It was so cool to see it really go outside the box.
That was a badass Kingpin in that movie too.
Yeah.
He was huge and imposing.
And to see the different Spider-Mans come together in this movie is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, there's going to be more of that, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm down for it. So, of course, the original, sad to say, just one little piece missing in my Optimus Prime, but in all, in pretty good condition. Still have the back trailer and everything, and I believe it still opens up and has the good old... I'll get used to this camera angle and stuff. The good old toys on the inside. So,
do you have the hose?
I don't think...
There's like a hose with a gas nozzle thing on it.
No, I do not. But I do have the card. It still fits in there. Actually, I have
still got roller.
I got two of them for some reason.
Yeah, that hose is one of the things that most people lose because it's so damn tiny and fragile.
Well, if you're like me and most people where you'd have like one little container that had all your little G.I. Joe guns and all your little Star Wars additional features to try to save them, but those were tough. Yeah, that hose is... I bet you could probably find that hose on eBay for like $50 or something.
Oh, God, yeah. Little tiny parts like that go for a while.
I've actually looked online to try to find this one missing piece because it's an arm on Prime. And they do have a lot of just pieces of these Transformers you can buy and stuff. So I'm hoping someday to find that piece and reconnect it. So these little guys here, I do remember Beachcomber. Beachcomber was one of my favorite. And the cool thing about these ones that I remember is the little black label. And it's heat sensitive. So you didn't know if they were an Autobot or a Decepticon until you uncovered it. And of course, he's an Autobot.
You know what I always laughed at with that? Like, I loved the heat rub thing. Yeah. I always laughed because it's like, you already know, like, who was an Autobot and a Decepticon because of their other stickers.
Well, let's bust this out. Yeah, I was going to say, look at this right here as a prime example. There they show the Autobot logo, but here you have to heat to find out if is he cheating? Is he trying to, is he a bad guy in disguise? But no.
Yeah, it's like, no, he's an Autobot. What a surprise.
Spider-Man's holding on to that right there for us for a second. We'll get a little bit more in depth into some of these here shortly as we go into our features here soon. Here we go. These are great, and I wanted to bust one out just so you guys could hear. Classics, man. This isn't the original, but I had to rebuy these not long ago. Do you have anything like these, Nacho?
Oh, I did. My dad had a bunch of those when I was a kid. Like, those sounds are very familiar.
So I had to bust one of these out, and I used to have the little arcade machines that were like this big, the little tiny joystick.
Yep, I remember those. I had a Pac-Man one.
I think I Cubert. Cubert's the one I had. I loved that damn thing. It was very cool. Let's go through the rest of the slideshow, and then we got some surprises for you guys. Starting lineups. Rex Chapman was one of my favorite basketball players back in the day from Kentucky, and yes, that's part of the reason why there's a Rex on my show. And I'll tell you the story. And Riley, I see you back there in the green room. Here's a little backstory on Radio Rex. When I was in college, yes, I was the white man that could jump. and people started calling me Rex because of Rex Chapman, because I could jump with the best of them. Two-hand dunks, reverse dunks. I mean, back in the day, it's hard for me to pat myself on my back, but yes, I came in second place in an actual slam dunk competition in college too, to one of the football players, so I couldn't really complain. So the name Rex came from that because that was one of my nicknames in college. The radio part comes from my father, Rich, who had a pretty good radio voice apparently, because they used to call him, one of his friends used to always call him, say Radio there. They called him Radio Rich. So I put the names together, Rex, Rich, Radio. So that was the backstory there on Riley's little butt buddy, his best friend, his lover, Radio Rex.
I always wondered.
Yep, that's where it came from. And Blaise, the name Blaise, the moniker Blaise, I had a friend in college, his first name was Blaise, and I always thought that was really cool. So it's not really directly associated with weed and stuff like that, to believe it, believe it or not. And the Magic 8 Ball right in the middle there, you guys, and this is a...
Yeah, I was going to comment on that. That's nice.
It's a legit real deal one. The only problem with these over the years is some of the liquid actually goes away, so it doesn't float to the top as well. So yes, definitely is what it says right now. So it's listening to me. So the good old 8 balls were great to play with. And I didn't know this was the name of them, but a lot of you old people will remember these. The pieces of paper. Does anybody know what those were called? And you open up, you go, oh, you love the teacher. Ha, 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 ha. Or your favorite color is blue? Okay. BLUE. You remember those?
I do remember those. So, like, the kids, I remember just calling them fortune tellers. I don't really know, like, if there was a real name for them.
Someone brought up the name of that in a stream I was in earlier, and I was like, what in the hell is that? When they heard the name, and then they showed the picture, and they Googled it of one of those. I don't know if you guys remember it. I'll type it in the chat, and then I'll tell you. They are called, does anyone know? Does anyone know out there? They can type in the chat. I'll leave it in there for a second and see if you guys can guess what it is, and then I'll type it. I don't know if any...
No, okay.
Does anyone know what the name is of that little, I guess you can call it a toy. What's your favorite number? Well, 3. 1, 2, 3, or whatever. And then you opened it up, and it said something deep in it. No one remembers? Believe it or not, they were called cootie catchers.
Cootie catchers? Huh.
Now, me back in the day, cootie catcher was something else. It was either getting bugs or you were out to get some girls. That'd be a cootie catcher, I guess. So. But I was today years old when I found that out that they were called cootie catchers. And speaking of today, I used to do this. Cody spits his beer out when he hears that.
Sorry about that.
Pete remembers it. See, validation from the man up north. The cootie catchers. How about it? But I used to do this on my LTD streams and sing the old the Edge theme song on this day. And today I was reminded that today, on this day, December 6th, 1980, the movie Popeye the movie came out. Robin Williams. And who else was in it, Nacho?
Shelley Duvall.
Yes.
As olive oil.
She was olive oil. Yes.
Yep.
So Popeye the movie. I don't even know if you remember. I remember the baby was cute as hell.
Jack Bando can tell you I've made him watch that so many times.
So Popeye the movie came out today in 1980. Also today in 1985 on December 6th, Spies Like Us. Anybody remember that movie? I loved it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Great movie. Spies Like Us, Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase. Two of my favorite comedians. Always glad. Slapstick comedy is one of my favorites from back in the day, man. Even back to like Three's Company and stuff like that. Good comedy. There's my boy Aggie in the building. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining the show, buddy. Good to see you. We're talking. You missed my Spider-Man impersonation when I started up. You guys can watch the replay. And if anybody's watching a replay, and I'll revisit this at the end, make sure you leave me a comment. What was your favorite toys? We'll bring people on later to talk about movies, cartoons, and I want you guys to send me pictures. If you guys got pictures of your toys when you were a kid, slide into my DMs. You know what I mean. In a good way. And let me know. Send me pictures of your toys, your old school things that you collected, and we'll use them for the next stream when we come back. Also, on this day, actually, it was yesterday, but I want to I have to talk about it because one of my favorite movies of all time, 1984, December 5th, was the debut, the premiere of the Flash Gordon movie. And there's little Merciless Ming for you. I got Hugo right there. There's Hugo. Ming the Merciless. And I've saved this little sucker for forever. Did you have any like obscure like toys like this from different movies or anything that you remember, Nacho?
I had some of the Clash of the Champions figures,
What was Clash of the Champions?
or Clash of the Titans. Sorry.
I love Clash of the Titans.
You had me thinking wrestling there for a second.
That's all right.
Yeah, I had was it Jason and the horse, and I had the Kraken.
Clash of the Titans, Beastmaster, and Never Ending Story. 3 great movies.
Yeah, don't forget Willow. You really
got to put Willow in there too, definitely. Krull, I remember Krull. Krull was good too.
A good one too.
Krull was my brother and I loved Krull. Flash, savior. I love that movie even at the end. I always do this when that movie comes up. It's Gordon's alive. Dispatch Wool Rocket Ajax and bring back his body. And with the Queen soundtrack, come on, man.
Yeah, fuck yes. Queen's amazing.
And as much as the movie wasn't like top-notch production and the little space ships flying around, I thought it was amazing.
To be fair, it was really good special effects for its time. I mean,
that's the point.
But like back then, that was state-of-the-art stuff. It's like the original Dune movie, that the scene with the shields.
Yes.
That looks hilariously goofy now, but that was revolutionary at the time it was made.
That's like Star Wars. It was the black paper with holes punched in it and shit for like the stars and stuff like that. And today with CGI and all that stuff. And I did give everybody a little taste of the background here, as I sent out earlier and teased. The War Games set up, the old wrestling figures. We'll talk about those. We're going to talk about He-Man. Those are 2 of our featured toys here tonight. But I figured just showing you up close some of the stuff behind me, because it's tough to see. But I really enjoyed doing this setup. Here's a little shot back at Nacho's He-Man figures, which are my favorite too. And I tell you what, that's really like bringing so many memories seeing your collection. Silverhawks. I don't remember. Do you remember Silverhawks, Nacho?
I do remember Silverhawks. Those things were great. An awesome cartoon.
And we talked about Thundercats and Voltron too in the segment that you see in the beginning. Definitely ones that transitioned into great cartoons as well as toys. And then a lot of them movies. They were great. You watch Flash. Oh, you guys are making me jealous. The Flash TV show is great. I love the Flash TV show. The new
different one. Flash we're talking about.
Yeah, Flash Gordon, but still.
Doesn't have speed powers. He'd be a lot cooler if he did.
Do you watch any of the CW superhero shows, Nacho?
When it first started, I did, and I kind of slacked off, like especially with Flash, because like I loved the Flash, but that show just kind of it fell into like a cycle. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff I can complain about that show, but I'm one of those guys that I just take the good stuff of all of it. I don't really like to complain as much as I like to praise things that I really enjoy.
Like if I don't like it, I just don't watch it.
Yeah, Insectors? Not sure what those were.
Sectars.
Insectars.
Is that what you mean? The Sectars from Coleco?
I don't know.
Had the bugs with the gloves that the guys could ride on?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had some of those. My father worked for Coleco and for Hasbro at different points of my childhood, so I got some cool toys.
Your son says, I barely know what you guys are talking about. I'm young, going to be 20 on the 13th. Well, that's all right. That's one reason why we're doing this. I mean, we're bridging the gap with the generations and talking about things way back in the day. I mean, I even pointed out, this is the monkey wrench logo that we used for my band, and we used Thundercats Snarf as now my friend Ray took and put a guitar in his hand instead, but we did call him Snarf. We were going to call ourselves Snarf or something as the band before, but if you guys don't know,
a great band name.
Yeah, it would be. But we ended up with Monkey Wrench because every time we had a show, something happened. Every time we tried to get a practice together, something would happen and screw things up. So Monkey Wrench was just perfect. And we played for a couple years, something I've always wanted to do. And if you don't know, the theme song for this show is from Spider Rat, Nacho's band.
Yeah.
And of course, one of these days with Drum Monkey, we're going to get the marshmallow butt plugs going.
Yeah.
So how did Spider Rat come? Now, you do everything. That's your band. It's you, right?
Yeah, like every instrument's me: the drums, bass, guitar, ukulele, keyboards. I sing poorly. But
No, it's great. And your theme song on my show is Mental Constipation, which is great. You sing on. It's
yep.
wild and wacky. It's timeless music, if you ask me, because it was made probably. How long ago did you make that music?
Some of those songs have their roots in old songs I wrote back in high school in the '90s. Some of that stuff is new, like Mental Constipation's within the last 5 years or so.
This is a talented son of a bitch over here, man. You can play multiple instruments. I don't care who you are. I can play drums, but you give me a guitar, I can't hold the strings. I have rhythm like a mother, but I can't hold the strings. Keyboards, too many keys. I have a couple drum pads with 4, and I can program what I'm down with that. Electronic drums, but I wish I learned how to play the piano. I wish I learned how to play the guitar when I was younger, so I'm definitely jealous on that too. Well, we did our backstory and we showed a little bit of our stuff. Now we're going to get into our first segment, and we've talked a lot about it already. It's toys. We'll be right back, and here's a little funky 8-bit song to get us hyped about it. I'm sorry, I almost had a touchdown. I get hooked. I used to love playing these, man. They are amazing. They're great. So
you got to run up your score.
We already talked about a ton of toys, but what me and Nacho wanted to do is kind of bring a little bit of structure to this podcast as well. We figure showing off a little bit of our collection and talking about things we collect first would be a great way to start it out and just get things going. Hey, there's Rob A in the building. Good to see you, my friend. But we wanted to bring it a little structure, kind of like I do my WrestleSense podcast too. So our first themed toy, we're not just going to show them off like we have already. I'm going to take you back in time to the original He-Man commercial.
He-Man, He-Man. Who's the big guy with the muscles?
He's He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Skeletor is his enemy.
He-Man, He-Man.
Here's He-Man, Skeletor, and Castle Grayskull. You have to put the castle together.
You're doomed, He-Man.
Oh, yeah? Watch this action, Dad.
He-Man.
Now I have the power.
He-Man and Skeletor each sold separately. Castle Grayskull also sold separately from the Masters of the Universe collection from Mattel.
Now that
I love that commercial so much. He-Man, He-Man.
Old commercials are great. I mean, I'll probably get maybe some copyright notices from it. I don't know, but I did find a fact that all those old commercials are supposed to not be copywritten, and especially who's the big guy with the big muscles.
Yeah, I love that. Who's the guy with the muscles?
Dad's very, as the kids like to say, sus out there. Very suspect there, Dad. Come on, you can get a little cool, but very cool. He-Man toys were one of my favorites, as well as Nacho's. You saw his collection, tons of different ones. Now, I showed you the only one I have here just to show off is He-Man. And not like today with all the points of articulation, they call them, in a lot of the newer toys. You just had the moving arms. You had the hands that would hold a sword or a gun or whatever.
Yeah, you had the doom, and then you had the doom.
But then they had the ones that would snap. You could do this, and you could make them punch.
Yep,
so that was cool.
That spring action punch.
That was something that in these
them,
toys. That you didn't have in the Stretch Armstrongs and the old school 70 toys. So this was like groundbreaking back in the 80s that the toys could do this.
At the time that He-Man came out in 1982, the standard size for action figures was 3 3/4 to 4 inches. So he towered over every other figure you had and was way bulkier. I mean, he made G.I. Joe look like a pussy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the original G.I. Joes were real big. And then and I don't have any G.I. Joes to show, but then they were real small, like pretty much the size of the Star Wars guys, the little G.I. Joes. Because I've had a lot of Star Wars versus G.I. Joe battles with my toys.
Oh, yeah, they fit together great.
But I know it's not, what are we talking about here? He-Man, but
He-Man,
close
yeah.
enough. I want to show off a couple of my comics. This is an old Hulk comic that I have from back in the day, and I believe this is number 193 in November, and it's got to be early 80s, late 70s possibly. And you mentioned G.I. Joe, so I'll show off an old G.I. Joe. Those are my two favorite G.I. Joe characters.
Yeah, the old Marvel G.I. Joes by Larry Hama. Yes,
it's
good stuff.
Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes were my two favorite. I just thought they were cool as hell. The coolest characters there. And my brothers had hundreds of those, man. I don't know. Did you do G.I. Joe as well when you were younger?
I wasn't a big G.I. Joe guy. Like, a lot of my friends were. Like, I had a few figures, the ones I really liked. But if I played G.I. Joes, it was usually at a friend's house.
Yeah.
I was more He-Man and Transformers.
Spider-Man, definitely my favorite. Wait, what's this here? How about the cat pop on the back of He-Man with his thunderous punch? Yes, sir. Mechanic was one of my...
I have him. He's up behind me.
Now, I've seen you have a bunch of different He-Mans too, which is pretty damn cool because I always had just the one. I know
they've had various reboots and stuff. There was a 2002 series, which my son played with those a lot growing up. I don't have them up right now because I just don't have them.
Same thing with our next. We're going to talk about Transformers, just to let you know.
Yep.
But the different generations, like nowadays, I have one. No, I don't have it on me. It's like they're like plastic, not as much die-cast metal and stuff in some of the newer ones. Which
some of those like original Transformers were weapons.
Yeah,
you could kill a kid with Optimus Prime.
Probably my favorite comic book I have is this Spider-Man versus Wolverine. Love this comic.
A good pairing.
Yeah, and it was I wasn't really into. I was more into the art and the cover than I am the actual story and stuff. But some of my friends, like the guy who did those drawings, they were really into it. Let's see, Ripper, G.I. Joe, and both of them fighting each other. And
didn't IDW lose a bunch of their licenses?
Really?
Yeah, I heard they lost Transformers, G.I. Joe, and something else.
You had a talking Wolverine doll. Very cool.
Very cool. Probably an old Toy Biz.
Yeah, very cool. Snake Eyes is probably my favorite of the G.I. Joe. He was very cool. I mean, he was badass.
Yeah.
And
I always liked Cobra Commander.
Yeah, and the G.I. Joe movies weren't that bad. I didn't mind them. I don't know if some people were critical of them or not, but the movies they had, I dug them just to see them come to life.
Yeah, they were all right for what they were. I mean, they definitely weren't perfect. But, I mean, anybody that went in expecting it to be like the cartoon was going to be disappointed.
And that's what I see. My diehard friends that are huge into comics, and they have been for 30-some years now, when some of these movies come out, they're so critical, like, it wasn't like that in the comics. Or that would have never happened in the comic. I'm like, I know, but this is the movie. It's supposed to be a little different.
Yeah, you can't go in expecting it to be exactly like the comics or the cartoons because you're never going to be happy that way because they're never going to do it exactly in which version if they do try to do it exactly like the comics because most like comic characters have multiple stories and they retell things over and over again. Yeah. I mean, you're never going to be happy.
I get the passion that they have though, and they want it to be just
me
like
too.
it.
It's just I hate how people get negative.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm less of a critic when it comes to that stuff. I just like to enjoy it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're allowed to like and dislike whatever you want. You just, and a lot of the fandoms forget that. Like you're allowed to like and dislike whatever you want. You're not allowed to bully other people for it.
No. And if they want to be critical, they can. That's what they want to do. Yeah. They can be critical. And I understand that people are like, in the comic, it was this way. Or in the comic, hey, there's Cassie Madden Red. Great to see you. Thank you so much for stopping in, Cass. And now we're going to hop into the next one, but we're going to do it the good way, the fun way. Let's take it back again. An original Generation 1 Transformers commercial.
The Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. The Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers, robots in disguise.
It's the Decepticon communicators! Get more Autobots!
The Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Transformers from Hasbro.
Once again, that it's so
That's
funny.
another big one for me.
That kid's serious a heart attack. More than meets the eye. He's all serious.
Yeah.
He gets in the...
It's intimidating.
He needed braces too, but I'm not judging. But it's so fun to watch the old school commercials, and I do have two more very cool ones to show. But it's not Soundwave, but it took the little cartridges.
Blaster.
Just like this one. These are the little cartridges that came, and the cartridges, laser beak or whichever one you had. This one's kind of beat up, but they would transform, and this is what I really loved. It's like everything transformed.
Oh yeah, guns. Some guys, their heads came off and turned into guys.
Well, and then it got too far as the ones that would come together, like Devastator. It was a
The combiner teams. I mean, like Transformers was insane. The amount of different figures they had. I mean,
and of course, Voltron as well did that. And
Voltron was another big one. Robotech.
But like to buy, I mean, it's a perfect marketing gimmick. Yes, you could pay $100 or whatever it was back in the day. It might only have been $50 and buy the complete Constructicon box. But you buy each little one. You could just have one, or you buy them all to make the big. And I thought that was really cool. Great marketing gimmick.
Yep.
But
Constructicons were awesome. You know, and there's something about them that's actually different than all the other combiner teams. All the other combiner teams are 5 guys. You have one big dude to be the body, and then 4
Arms
smaller guys for the limbs.
Yeah.
The Constructicons are 6. So
True.
2 of them form the body, and then the arms and legs.
Correct. Very good point. One I do want to show off here, and yes, once again, I'm using an old school floppy disk here. Insecticons. So I have a couple of the Insecticons that would transform around.
Is that Bombshell?
Could be. I'm not really sure. I'm terrible on names. But the Insecticons were pretty damn cool too. Of course, one of my favorites, and it turned into a couple movies and such, is good old Bumblebee.
Yes, Bumblebee.
Good old Bumblebee. One of the classics. Probably one of the most classic ones, if you ask me, next to this one I'm not afraid to transform real quick because it's easy. But Bumblebee, I mean, the movie Bumblebee came out. We talked about on the stream when we started talking about these two, the GoBots, the little cheap version of Transformers.
Yep. I had a lot of them.
Which I did too, because they weren't as much. They were cheaper. You could find them for $1 or whatever, 50 cents or whatever back in the day. They weren't as detailed as some of the Transformer ones, but they had some cool ones. You could find.
Cool definitely. The Transformers was brilliant at the way they spaced out and targeted the toy line, because they had every price point covered. They had little tiny guys like Bumblebee that were like the size of a Matchbox car, right on up to figures that turned into cities.
Yeah, was Omnicron the big one in the cartoon? Was that the thing that was
the movie?
the
Unicron.
Planet? Unicron, that's what I'm thinking of.
Orson Welles.
Yes, that's true. And there you go. I did. I was a little afraid that I didn't remember how to do it, but they're not that difficult.
No, the originals are pretty easy.
The newer ones are kind of difficult. I found a couple that I bought to try to bring them back with my nephew, and no, sir, man. They're
a lot more complicated than they ever were when we were kids.
But some of my prized possessions, and I remember buying these at it was a hospital. I was going for a checkup at a hospital, and it was one of those hospitals where you had to wait really long to get a checkup. It was allergies. I remember it's a horrible remembrance, but when I got tested for allergies as a kid, they literally stuck you 80 times, like 40 in each arm, to see what you were allergic to. Like it was terrible. Like
that sounds pretty crappy.
Like the little tiny toy they gave me out of the treasure box wasn't cutting it after all them shots. But I remember going to the gift shop in that hospital, and I found the original Transformers comic book, and I ended up buying 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now they're not as like $1 million or $1,000, a couple $100. I've seen some of them for $50 or $30 online.
Yeah, in good condition, they can go for a decent amount, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, more so just a piece of my childhood than anything. I got all 4 of these Transformer comic books, and of course, when the movie came out, I went ahead and found these as well. So I was a big fan of the movie, especially because they said shit. They said shit once in the movie.
Shit and damn it.
And damn it, yep.
Yeah, Ultra Magnus tries to get the Matrix open. He's like, open, damn it, open.
Yes. And it was holy shit whenever the plant was going to eat him or something, wasn't it? I think it was Spike that said, "Holy shit."
Yeah, like in the beginning when Unicron attacked the moons.
Yep. Those are
You know,
things that like.
that comic. One of the things we talked about beforehand was like that's kind of funny that it was supposed to be a 4-issue miniseries, but it sold so well they just kept it going and never ended the miniseries.
Yeah.
So when it finally canceled, like the last issue, issue 80, it said number 80 in a 4-issue limited series on the top of it.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, if something catches on, but I do. Yes, I do remember the $6 Million Man. One of my favorite TV shows when I was a kid.
Yeah, the eye that you could look through and like you could pull his arm up and he had the wires and stuff.
Now, if I find the video of it, I'm gonna have to bring it out, bust it out, and show you guys. But I was the little kid that would slow motion run in front of the TV while the show is getting ready to start, and I just loved the $6 Million Man. And that's Steve Austin. Hey, where'd that name evolve into?
Yeah, I was the kid with the sword doing the By the Power of Grayskull, so I understand completely. I mean, I got a couple of the swords behind me.
Yeah, I know. You showed me the one. Those are really amazing. Like, and when I had fake swords and stuff like that, I just used it to beat up my little brother.
Oh, yeah. Wiffle ball bats were great for that when I was a kid, too. That could be everything, lightsaber, sword, you name it.
So those He-Man and Transformers definitely mine number 1 and 2, and like Nacho saying too, his big ones of collecting as well. So I figured we'd do a little feature on those, and those commercials are great.
Yeah, the only tattoo I have actually is the Autobot symbol.
Oh, sweet! I have a friend who when I was my last job, I was working at a Verizon store, and he brought his car, and he's like, "You got to come see my car." And I was like, "What do you mean?"
Oh, that's awesome, Elfie. You had a glow-in-the-dark Grayskull sword. I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, I did the Baywatch slow run, too.
Yeah.
But my buddy said, you got to come out and see my car. I know you're a toy fanatic. You got to come out and see my car. He had Bumblebee, I think it was the Camaro, but the color and all the Autobot logo and stuff all over it. Like, it legitimately looks like it was going to transform. The real car. Was it a Camaro when it came back?
Yeah.
It was a Camaro.
It was a Camaro in the Bay movies. Yeah.
So he bought one of those new Camaros when it came out, yellow. He told me, and I was like, did you do that? He's like, it's a limited edition. They didn't make very many, but it had the fucking Transformers like logos and stuff on it. It was so, he was right. I wanted to see that car.
Yeah, you can make a lot of money with that kind of stuff on the convention circuit.
Oh, it was beautiful. Like I wanted it to start talking like from the radio and stuff.
No, I know.
So we got one more set of toys to talk about before we go into video games, our next segment. And this one's going to hit home with a lot of people in this community, of course, because what do we do on this channel for the most part? Professional wrestling. So let's go back one more time to we got another one later on. One more time here for the toys, I should say, at one of the original WWF toy commercials. We'll be right.
Big match at my house.
I'll bring my guys. You have yours.
I've got Junkyard Dog.
It's World Wrestling Federation Superstars.
I've got Brutus Beefcake.
Here's George the Animal Steel.
I've got Great Hammer Valentine.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah! They're so real.
And Rowdy Rock Piper.
Can you tell the difference? Wrestling Superstars. They're for real. Each sold separately from LJN.
Yeah! Spider-Man's back. Oh, I revealed my secret identity too early. Damn it. You guys saw that it was fake. Well, WWF toys, Nacho. I don't know. Did you collect a lot of those back in the day?
I had a lot of the LJNs. I mean, there were so many figures in that line. Like 89 different figures.
I don't have any of the original WWF ones from back in the day. Yes, old wrestling toys, definitely Machete. And as I said earlier, if you guys have pictures of your toys or anything, please send them in so we can use them on the next show.
Yeah, growing up, I had more of the Hasbro figures. The ones with the action features that were smaller. I had a lot more of those than I did.
They did like this shit and everything.
Yeah, and they had the Hulk Hogan that did the body slam and the punches. And
those were great. I mean, even as far as to go to little things like thumb wrestlers. If anybody remembers thumb wrestlers,
Yeah, I had
we
a
got.
few of those.
And yes, you can make them fight like whatever you want to do and beat the shit out of each other. But I did find a couple of thumb wrestlers. I figured I'd have to pull those out and show everybody as well. But let's go ahead and reveal. I had to throw that back on one more time and have some fun with it. So wrestling figures. I told you I have a lot up here and here, but specifically ones, and I showed this the other night how, I went a little further. And this is kind of where LTD kind of started. I would take my figures and, write down who's fighting who, make a match card. And
I used to do the same thing.
And for the actual, the aprons, I would cut out cardboard and put the logo. It's like LTD in the 80s. I'm doing it now on a computer game. So if it was Starrcade or it was WrestleMania, I would make that and tape them to the sides to kind of make it look like that.
I used to cut the logos out of the magazines and make my own ring aprons for them.
Now, if I was only that creative back then, I could have did that. Damn it, Nacho, I should have met you 35 years ago or something. So I collected a lot of the AEW figures that I found, and of course, the Nacho boy, and I make my own belts. You see, I just took a piece of cardboard, and there he's got his own World Heavyweight Championship belt on there. But the Nacho boy, old
AWA,
even got the little glistening, and of course, there's like Terry Gordy, Bam Bam
Remco figures.
Is that who made them?
Yeah, Remco was a minor, but they were a minor company, but they got out into the stores. A lot of knockoff type stuff, like those are like obviously based off the He-Man body, and they made a killing doing that. They even got sued and won because you can't copyright the form. You can only copyright the specific character, and like they made tons of action figure lines with that body style. Wrestlers, Conan the Barbarian, the Warlord from DC Comics.
To me, this is the perfect form factor.
Oh yeah,
it's
a big chunky figure to like bash around in your hand.
Exactly, and of course the greatest tag team of all time, the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk, my favorites with their homemade belts. Two of my favorites.
The Legion of Doom, where we got our name from.
Yes, that is the Legion of Doom. Has evolved into the Legion of Dork here.
We don't want to give Doom to anybody.
No,
They're kind of nice guys.
And of course, the newer Ric Flair that I have here,
San Francisco toy maker.
Is
that one of the vibrators? Oh no,
no, it just had this. My vibrator's in the other room.
You remember those? The vibrating figures?
No.
Like I remember seeing an interview with Big Show where he talked about it, and he asked like why they vibrated it. They told him it was supposed to be that they were shaking in anger. It's like, yeah, mommy's shaking in anger when she borrows it.
Why is mommy borrowing my wrestling toys all the time? But these are two different ones. I'm not really sure who made them or what years they were, but these are two different Goldbergs that I have as well. I was a big Goldberg mark when they first came out. When he first came out.
Looks like Toy Biz.
I don't know if they marked them well enough back then.
One of them definitely is Toy Biz. The other one might be San Francisco Toy Makers.
These are two.
I think they're both Toy Biz.
And one of my all-time favorite characters, also the icon Sting.
Yep.
I love me some Sting as well.
Yeah.
Elder Nuts is saying the Animal was made for War Games. Oh, the original War Games. If you guys can't see it, and I might have to rip it off of there just to show you. And we're celebrating War Games from last night, but this is the original War Games T-shirt. It's way too small for me to wear, so I kind of boarded it up to make it a little more presentable. But this is when War Games was War Games, man.
Yeah,
Dusty, Luger, put the lid on the cage, let them all go in there and terrorize each other, blood everywhere.
Yep, back in the day when it wasn't just a match that they did like at this time of year, when it was like a way to end a feud.
And those were, back in the day, and I don't have anything here, or do I? Yes, I do. I can show off a couple. Magazines were big. So wrestling magazines were pretty big back in the day. And, of course, I'm a hoarder. You think I was crazy about it? There's NWA main event. I still have some of my draw. Jim Crockett Memorial Cup sign.
Nice.
These were the Titantrons back in the day. Bunkhouse Stampede was one of my favorite events they had back
That
in
was
the
a
day.
good one too. Yeah.
I mean, they had like a series of cage matches, and then the winners of all those cage matches in like the house shows fought in one big stampede. That was a great idea. Someone needs to redo that. Starcade, definitely one of the best from back in the day. The Great American Bash. I went to a show for the Great American Bash. Here's the War Games picture again from back in the day. Nikita Koloff was a beast too, man. They don't talk enough
man, he
about
was amazing.
He was so great back in the day, man. He was like one of the best. Now this Chi-Town Heat Starcade 87.
Nice.
Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Those old school. This is and it's like when I'd go to a house show in Pittsburgh, and if whatever event was coming up, you know, the inside of the magazine would have a little bit of taste of that. Jim Crockett Cup, the original one, was so great. This is the actual book from then. Some tag teams. I don't think we have the New Breed, the Green Machines, Larry Zbyszko and Al Perez, the Lightning Express, Tim Horner and Brad Armstrong, Dr. Death and Ron Simmons.
Oh, wow. That's a
Shane
right
Douglas, Ricky Santana, Ivan Koloff and Dick Murdoch, Ronnie Garvin and Sting with Magnum TA, who he could have been one of the best wrestlers of all time if it wasn't in that car wreck.
Yeah, if he didn't get hurt.
And here, we were just on Pete's stream talking about Braun Breaker. There's the original Rotundo and Steiner, they called themselves back then. They are the Varsity Club.
I remember the Varsity Club. That was when I first really started to get into NWA.
But like, hey, how can you forget the ice cream
bars?
bars?
Oh, yeah.
CM Punk brought those back not too long ago. The ice cream bars are great. But the magazines I collected a lot. I even got Pro Wrestling Digest when I was younger.
Nice.
And LTD started out back in the day with IWA I've talked about before, which is the Imaginary Wrestling Association.
That was the one in the back of the magazine, right? That you like
check
mailed
this out. Here's the application for it.
Yes, I did that too.
Fill out your application, pick the moves you want. Tell me this isn't e-fetting back in the 80s.
Yep. Pay your fee for however many matches you want.
Your manager's name. Yes, you paid. You paid for it. Here's and you win money. It was a gambling rig, man. It was a freaking gambling rig.
Yeah.
Wrestler of the Month plaque, $1 sign-up fee. I mean, abdominal stretch, airplane spin, arm lock, belly to belly, big splash, Boston crab, headbutt, eye gouge, eagle split, drop kick, DDT, leg lock, monkey flip, Texas death matches, sneak attacks, steel cages, feuds, battle. This is where e-fetting started.
Definitely. I remember seeing that in the back of the magazines, like Pro Wrestling Illustrated and all the other magazines.
Speak of.
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
That was the big daddy right there. That was the main one.
The one, yep.
Because they covered everybody.
Yeah, and Sting. We got the good old Sting back, Pro
Surfer
Wrestling.
Sting, yeah.
I tried to keep, at least the. Oh, here we go. This is one of the things I used to do. How about a triple cage match with a scaffold?
Damn, dude. Nice.
I got into it back in the day. And I had to go crazy with
awesome.
with the characters and the stuff. That's why doing LTD means a lot to me. It's not just a video game hanging out there. It's been something that I've wanted to do for so long and do. And I never thought it would evolve to what it has today. Me and Pete were talking about it on the Get Blaise talk show the other night. But let's see. Here's another one. Sports Review Wrestling. Good old Lex Luger. I was a big fan of the total package.
Yeah, Luger was a good one.
You can't forget the Macho Man. He was definitely one of the favorite pro wrestling.
Macho's one of my top 5.
I just heard that I don't know if you heard this or not, that Elias was going to come back with a new gimmick. But they said with the beard he had and the multicolored outfit, he looked too much like Macho Man, so they struck it down.
Oh.
So speaking of games, and one of the things I wanted to do coming on to what this was is and I talked to Pete, and we talked to a bunch of other people about 4 years ago or so, about making a tabletop wrestling game. Like, I really wanted to design one, something a little bit different, roll the dice, having different cards for matches or moves, and making it a little more interactive, more like an EFED, but a board game, an EFED board game. And this is something that I had back in the day called Power Slam Wrestling. There was actually a VHS tape that came with it, and every once in a while you would play.
I remember seeing ads for that, but never playing it.
Now, I can't believe I still have
Wasn't it like cards in
here's
like
the board.
videotape?
So you started out at the bottom, and I believe you picked a card or whatever, and if it said watch the videotape, then you watch whatever move was next, and that's the move that happened. And the idea, obviously, is to get all the way to the end and try to get a 1, 2, 3 pin. A VCR game. I mean, I thought that was kind of innovative, a little different, and I really dug that. So
yeah, there was a few of those back in the day. There was a D&D one called Dragon Strike also.
I know. Yeah, there's so when I was looking into doing that 4 years ago, I Googled it and was like, I was looking into any type of board or tabletop wrestling game. Even went into the D&D and a lot of those crazy tabletop games that they do out there to try to incorporate some of the things they do too. But yeah. I mean, I brought LTD magazine back and did some covers back in the beginning of LTD. But when I was a kid, I was doing that. I had my own NWA magazine, you know, promoting the Cup, promoting Clash of Champions, my little artistic background from back in the day.
Very nice.
This is something that's been part of me for so long. Wrestling All-Stars, that was another good magazine.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
And what I loved about these magazines too is you can open up in the middle and you get the rankings.
Yes, WWF. Like, on some of those, that was the only colored pages.
Yeah. And the good thing about those was you got AWA, WCCW, UWF. Like, there was no internet to go and look who the top guys were.
Yeah, sometimes that was the only way you knew who was champion in other promotions.
Yeah,
looking in those magazines.
So magazines were so big back then, and I didn't really prep to try to find one that had an actual top list in there, because that was so great to find out, like, who was the best in this league or that league that you didn't watch or wasn't on TV that much. I'm sure the 100th issue might have had a top whatever. Maybe not. Some great pictures. And I was also the type to cut these up and use the pictures and use the stuff for different things. So
yeah, I did a lot of that too.
And they always had like a poster in the middle or something, collectible. I remember a couple of them that actually had cards, and I loved collecting those too. I've shown off my Flair and no top 10s or anything in here. That was just, I mean, those were one of my favorite parts. Here we go. Yeah, perfect. So this is what we're talking about, people. No internet, but you got to go here to find out who the top tag teams were and who was the best in each league. Now, if you guys remember good.
They usually have one that was like just the best overall, like across all the leagues.
I'll give you an example. The top 10 overall. Hogan was number 1 from WWF. Ronnie Garvin, number 2. He was the NWA world champion at the time. Ric Flair was the number 1 contender. He's number 3. Then Luger. Steve Williams was the UWF champion at number 5. Number 6, Barry Windham, who was the Western States champion. Anybody remember that championship belt?
That was an old NWA belt, yep. Yeah. When they had a bunch of regional titles.
Nikita Koloff was the NWA TV champ. Randy Savage was the number 1 contender to the Intercontinental. Kurt Hennig was the AWA world champ, and Al Perez was the world-class heavyweight champ. But the days of the territory was really laid out here for fans.
Oh, definitely.
NWA, AWA, WWF, UWF, Stampede Wrestling, which is Canadian. You got Owen Hart, Jason the Terrible, Brian Pillman, Zodiac, Biff Wellington, Bruce Hart. You got Mid-South, Bobby Jaggers, Manny Fernandez. This is out of Memphis, I believe Mid-South was.
Yeah.
Because there's Lawler, Bill Dundee, Hector Guerrero.
Yeah, Lawler and his crew of guys.
Continental was a Texas-based one, I believe, or Tennessee, looking at these names. Tom Pritchard, Wendell Cooley, Dutch Mantell, and then the Wild West, the Missing Link, Iceman Parsons, Buddy Roberts, Lance Von Erich. World Clash Championship Wrestling. That's where, a lot of the Freebird and Von Erich shit went down, which was great. And World Championship Wrestling, obviously WCW. So magazines were huge back then, man. That's where you get your VHS tapes and order them and stuff too.
Yeah.
So wrestling figures and wrestling as a whole has come a long way. So we had to feature that on the first show here. We're going to get to a couple guests. You guys chilling in the green room. I appreciate it. And anybody else out there who wants to join, please go ahead and click on the StreamYard link in Facebook, Twitter, Skype into private chats, and we'll try to get you on to talk some shop. I knew we wouldn't be able to do this in an hour. Uh-oh. Yeah. Ripper's crying. Don't cry, buddy. He remembers his magazines. Wrestling All-Stars.
I feel you, man. I used to have a ton of magazines that disappeared over.
I'm kind of lucky that I'm good. I'm happy. I remembered to keep those right there because I didn't plan on talking about the magazines, but you can't really talk about old wrestling without the magazines.
No,
right?
and there's magazines for like He-Man had a magazine.
Very true. That toy collecting and stuff did too. And a lot of those toys, not only did they have the comics that we showed, but the magazines as well.
Well, yeah, both the toy lines that we talked about, He-Man and Transformers, they spawn, comics, cartoons, video games.
Well, we're talking about the days where Christmas catalogs were big too.
Oh, like, Sears. Yeah,
the Sears catalog was huge. Like when I wanted to find out what toys were out there, it was the Sears Christmas catalog. And they legitimately, like we had the pictures earlier in the show of ours. That's what they had them laid out. They had, that's where you got your toys. You ordered them from Sears. I think that our Sears closed down a couple years ago here in southwestern Pennsylvania. I think they shut down completely.
Either.
All right, so we got one more segment, and then we're going to get to a couple guests. The final segment, we couldn't really do this without talking about video games. And we're going to take it all the way back to, well, let's just play the theme, and then we'll talk about it. Now we're talking my speed here, folks. One button. That's it. Just a joystick.
One button with a wire connecting it to the system. So you don't lose it.
This is the newer one. They definitely the wire. And then they had the whatever they called it.
Trackball. Yeah.
Trackball. So they had like Night Driver. You use that one as well to turn. So there was two different controllers. Atari.
Oh, you talking about the paddle controllers?
Yeah, paddle.
They had like the little spinny wheel thing, and they had the trackball. They had.
This is a newer one, but you get the idea. The old Atari game that came out, and as you saw in that video, Pong was the first one I had.
Yeah, Pong was a big one.
2 lines and a dot. Let's make some games out of it, and
sometimes they'd call it tennis. They did Pong as several different games.
Yeah, it was a bunch of different games that they took the lines and the dots and good old, I don't even think it's 8-bit before that, way back in the day. And so playing Pong was first that I know of, and then obviously the Atari, and then we talked about these floppy disks earlier that I've been showing off to use as my stuff. So I had a Commodore 64, and one of my favorite games, because I'm a big basketball fan, is Larry Bird and Julius Erving 1-on-1.
Nice. That's a good one.
Jordan versus Bird 1-on-1. The EC Electronic Arts EA. How about that? Good old slam dunk, a little generic kind. And then some of my favorite games that I have a Hot Wheels and Pitfall game. Like these became mixed tapes. I mean, you could basically get and put like 5 or 6 different games on some of these floppies.
Games back then were a lot smaller.
And the one I could not stop playing is Summer Games. And if you remember and even the newer Atari, Nintendo and stuff, Olympic Games and stuff, I had bloody knuckles from some of those games. Yeah. Because the track and field games, you were supposed to go back and forth, and a lot of people just started using their knuckles to make it go faster. So
we used to slide our finger back and forth.
So people would find their ways to cheat. Like we had cheat codes back in the day that weren't really cheat codes.
Up, down, down, left, right, BA, select start.
My brother has a T-shirt that has it on. It's classic. It's classic.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Let's go back all the way to 1978 for an.
Okay, Atari. Let's see your best pitch.
You're out, Rose.
I quit soccer to play Atari.
You need more practice, Haley.
You can't keep me in here, Atari.
The Atari video computer system is 20 cartridges with 1,300 game variations you play on your own TV set. Don't just watch television tonight. Play it.
All right, now here's the quiz, everybody. Can you name the stars that were in that commercial? Because they spared no expense back in the Atari days, I guess. Well, Pete Rose is obvious. He was right on the first. And the little girl did say Pele, so the soccer game represented by Pele. But then Don Knotts behind bars. That's great. That was good stuff. But I'm so glad that I found some of those commercials to play because it really brings you back into that day.
It does. The commercials were a big part of it.
Yeah.
Of all this stuff.
Well, once again, it's because we didn't have the internet.
Exactly.
There was no internet. So when do you know the next game comes out? You're watching a cartoon, and we could talk Saturday morning cartoons will definitely be one of the themes one of these days that we'll talk about. And I have to do some research on that and put stuff together. But you're watching Saturday morning cartoons, and there's a commercial for an Atari game. That's how you knew it came out.
Yeah.
Or you went to your local toy store and found it. There's Goddess of Pain. Good to see you.
Hi, Goddess.
Great to see you, Goddess. Thanks for stopping in. Make sure you check out the beginning and everything. I did my Spider-Man thing. We showed off a lot of our toys just in pictures and slideshows, and the commercials are great. I know I'm really interested to see if I get copyright from doing it, but they don't strike you. It'll just be a warning and I won't get monetized. I don't care. This is something I've wanted to do for so long. I could thank you till the cows come home, Nacho, for kind of not really talking me into it, but once we discussed it, it was like one of those light bulbs go off. Like, this would be fun.
Yeah. This is the first time I've done anything like this.
Well, you're a natural. No one's gonna notice that it's the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to Pete earlier about why I didn't have face reveal, didn't come on camera, and didn't do a lot of stuff on my stream for quite some time. It was a number of reasons. One, I was kind of nervous about it, of course. Number two, I really wanted to try to see if this is something I wanted to continue to do before I want to go out that far. And for the wrestling game, and I know some people do it and that's fine, but I want people to watch the match, not me up in the corner,
Right. That makes sense.
But for reactions and stuff, and definitely for like the NFL stream that I do and these podcasts, it was me coming out of my shell. I'm a very personable person, but to do it online and put yourself out there, I did a lot of research. By not only in LTD do you have these people from these other communities, but I've been studying this for legitimately 4 years since the day I saw Pete stream coming over from WU, and like, man, that's we can really turn that into an AI versus AI game. I didn't know you could live stream these games. And I knew you could live stream games.
I still don't know how to do it.
I knew you could live stream games because I really loved when people would post like Doom or stuff like that, and they're cracking on what happened and the little comments. Those are hilarious from way back in the day. So I thought, man, it'd be really fun to commentate gaming. Like I told you, this is my style. Good old one button, or just these old games with just a couple buttons.
Yeah,
you give me all those different buttons and different views and stuff. I great hand-eye coordination, but I just don't want to concentrate all on that to play a game. It's just how did I meet your dad? Through the internet, through all this stuff, through I don't know when the first time we've actually.
I think it was on WU originally, but
yeah, I'm sure I ran across so many characters in WU, but and as much as I did love that game, and I it's still big. The YouTube part and bringing it over here really opens up for a whole new world.
Yeah, I haven't touched that game in a long time.
I talked about it with Lord Amadeus on the Get Blaise talk show the other day, that it's two different worlds, but they're tied together by wrestling, gaming, definitely. In WU, you pick the moves. Yeah. You have more control. Here, it's just about having fun. That's why I try to tell so many people, learn to lose here in the digital world because you don't have control. All you do is create the character. The AI does the games.
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't have control either. It's
no.
Some AI.
Some games they do. They do pre-recorded and they want to tell a story, so they fed the hell out of it and draw, everything, and they know the outcomes and they pre-plan it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know who's going to win. That's why a lot of my reactions are legit when people win or lose.
He's just as surprised as you are.
But I wanted it to be about the interaction with the people in the live chat. I wanted it to be about, when you do win a world championship or win a match, making you a hero from the created character that you got. And that brings me joy. And to say that I've met people from Canada, from Europe, from Australia, and all over
the world. Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, I remember the AOL days of Instant Messenger. And ICQ. I don't know what my number was, but I had ICQ.
IRC.
Yeah, but back in those days, all those little messaging systems were one way to connect with people, but you didn't have video chats. You didn't have phones like that. But now I sold phones. I was a manager at a Verizon store whenever the cell phone, take off and the smartphones came around. And now I'm in Pennsylvania, as someone likes to call it, southwestern Pennsylvania, where I'm trying to sell a cell phone to people's dads and grandfathers. I don't need no damn internet on my phone. That's all I heard a million times. And now, I'm like, you will.
Yeah, you will someday.
And
now
you'll love it.
Almost a necessity.
And then smartphones were everywhere, and that boom took off. And I was glad to be a part of that. I was glad to be a part of the PC explosion too. Whenever I was with Gateway Country Computers, I don't know if you guys remember the cows, and Gateway had actual retail locations where you would come in, and we didn't have computers at first. You came in, looked at the setups, and us as salesmen we had to educate too. What is RAM? What's a hard drive? And we had to try to pick out, based on how you want to use it, what kind of computer you would have. It wasn't easy as a salesperson, and as a manager as well. Now, granted, in that time, same as the cell phone explosion, everyone wanted a personal computer at that time. Like, there was a part where the government was giving you $1,000 to get a PC. So it did help up. There's Crushing Kelly. Amazing show she had earlier. If you guys haven't checked out BMWLF, check it out. She is awesome. We've been talking about a lot of toys. I did my Spider-Man impersonation earlier. We hit 2 of our features tonight, which are favorites here. And now we're open for suggestions. You guys got suggestions. Please send us. Nightbot will drop my social media links if you're not linked to me, Facebook, Twitter, Skype. Let us know what your favorites are. What do you want us to talk about next time? Terry, good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Good to see you. We're winding it down here on the themes. We covered He-Man, we covered Transformers, and we covered wrestling figures. Oh, the one I didn't show you, which I did show the other night, was the Muscles. Little muscle guy here.
Yeah, I remember Muscles. Those things were so cool.
Now, these were a lot simpler. More like, I guess, if you want to compare them to something, and I don't know if I have it handy.
And those actually are wrestling related. So they're based on a manga from Japan.
Really? I did not know that.
Called Kanuka Man. And it was about wrestling. They were like superpowered wrestlers, and the main character was like the most powerful wrestler ever, but he was like lazy.
Really? See?
Yeah. So it played for laughs.
No.
They brought it back later on, and we actually got the cartoon this time, Ultimate Muscle. I don't know if you remember that one.
No. I did the same thing with these I did with my AWA characters. Name them all, my own unique name, and we made different match cards for them and championships, etc., etc. The comparison I'm making is to the Army figures. The little Army figures.
Oh, yeah, the little green Army guys, yep.
Yeah, and I had one here somewhere, so I don't know where I put it, and that's what happens with little toys. They're really hard to keep track of.
Yeah, especially something like that.
It's here somewhere. We'll cover that in another time, but that's why I love these things. And there was like hundreds of them. There was a lot of different ones.
There was like 236 individual, like, unique figures in that line.
So Muscles were very. I really enjoyed it.
They came in a bunch of different colors too.
Now I did. I only mess with the skin tone ones, and it's probably not politically correct nowadays either. to
Well,
have
those are
just
the
one
coolest
color.
ones. That's what people think of when you say muscle. But
Yeah, the
there was-
original ones.
You know, there was blue and red and magenta, a couple of other colors. I mean, there's even a color that was only in the board game they put out.
The Simpson toys, yes, all another classic toy line. And that's another thing that, once we talk about a lot of them, we can go into some of the 90s, the 2000s, and some of the toys that are in there as well.
Yeah, and we'll probably go back and hit Transformers and He-Man again, because we really didn't even touch on them other than being like, this was cool.
Yeah.
We got a lot to cover for like
Yeah. If we want to get in depth, we can start talking more about. I mean, and Nacho is more well versed in the real details of it than I am. I'm a fan. I'm a gamer. I love it. It's the same thing with, let us say, on my Red Zone streams. I'm not one of those NFL fans that knows every player on my favorite team and everything like that. And knows everything. I played football for 1 year when I was a kid, but I'm more of a fan. It's more just like the wrestling. I never call myself a wrestling expert. I never said that, I know everything. I've stepped in a ring once, and that was to do ring announcing for a local federation. I'm going to get that DVD. I got to get that DVD so you guys can see it.
I would love to see that.
I have good memory and a bad memory from that. The good memory is I think I'm one of the only ring announcers to ever do the Kevin Nash step over the top rope to get in and out of the ring because I'm 6'3", so I could do it. I don't think too many people have done that, kind of push down the top rope and step over as a ring announcer. And the worst memory is messing up two people. I messed up someone's name when he came in. And it was like the murderous killer or something real nasty was his name. So I felt horrible when the dude got in and stared me down like wrong name. And just like I do have these 3x5 cards for every wrestler, I had cards in front of me with names because this was the first time I met these guys. Ray, that's on the Wrestle Sense podcast, him and CJ were fighting for that company, but I was in a band with Ray, and he was like, "Hey, RWA, which is Renegade Wrestling Alliance here in southwestern Pennsylvania, they didn't have a ring announcer for that show," and he's like, "You want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah, but I'm nervous as hell." And I wore a suit, which I'm not a suit wearer, but I wore a suit for him, and I thought, getting to know these guys would be a good idea before the show. They wanted nothing to do with me, dude. I walked into the back like, "Hey, I'm the ring." They're like, they didn't care. Yeah. They didn't care. They didn't know me from a hole in the ground. And the other thing I did was when someone won, I announced the wrong winner. And I was quickly corrected by the guy who was like a legend in that company. And I was like, "Oh, okay, no, the real winner is," and I'm like, "Oh, what a moron." So I had two big faux pas in that, and it kind of sucked. I didn't travel around. I did one announcing for RWA. It was here in West Newton, Pennsylvania, and I went down on a Saturday with a stack of 3x5 cards, not knowing any of the wrestlers, not knowing any of the outcomes. But the one guy did come up to me before and said, "We're going to have a segment with you. So before the match, this dude's going to come in and interrupt, and he's going to like come after me and get in my face." And I was like, "Okay, can't say no, right?" So I did get to kind of interact with a wrestler where he snatched the mic off of me and did his own little spiel. He cut a promo before a match. And I was like, that was kind of fun. So if I find that DVD, I'll definitely have to show that for you guys. It was fun. Oh, there you go. Different magenta, blue, and greenish gray and red.
Actually, I have all the colors written down if you want me to read them off.
Yeah, go for it.
Flesh, magenta, neon green, blue, sky blue, purple, red, orange, and neon orange. And then, like I said, the gray, purple.
Yeah.
That one only came in the board game.
So as you guys know, I talk a lot and I ramble, and I guess I used to say I have a face for radio, but that's why my show is also named Blaise Radio, because I wanted it to not be about me. I wanted to be about the voice, the interactions, and the fun. So it was a radio type of personality. When people caught on, I never really thought a damn thing about my voice. And I do emphasize it a little more when I get into the actual the announcing to get more feel to it. But I never expected such a, "Hey, we love your voice," this and that. And people like Micro Mike and these guys, Troxel, to do sports stuff, to say, I got such an amazing voice and stuff. I was like, I never thought of it that way. Even when I was in the band, I never wanted to lead sing. I did backup vocals because I never thought.
Yeah.
And you guys that watch my show,
I hated singing, even though I got stuck singing a lot.
If you guys have watched my show and heard the Mobus songs, that's my brother screaming and wailing. He's got an amazing voice. And
he
he was a quieter kid when he was younger, but what he did was he used to put headphones on and listen to metal and listen to heavy metal, real heavy. And when he got older, he just came out of his shell with a band called Five Corners. There's a spot in town. It's like 5 different corners, and they practice right there. And amazing drummer, amazing guitar player. And he started singing. I was like, dude, I didn't know you could sing. And whether it's regular singing or screaming and wailing, dude had it. I mean, I'm still pissed to this day that he's not still making music. But I'm blessed to say that my band covered one of his songs, Good Old Monkey Wrench. We covered one of his songs, and I got to sing it with him back up, and he got to sing with us on stage. And that's all. I'm a small victory type of guy.
Yeah, it's the little things that count, really.
And I've also said this here. I know I've started a lot of different stuff on this YouTube channel, but less than a year ago, I had already gained every goal I had for my YouTube. When I sat down, I was talking to Pete before I started my channel and didn't do all my research. I set myself goals, but they were very attainable goals. And everything I do now is on top of it. I've already achieved everything I've wanted to do on YouTube, but over and all, above everything, it's meeting new people and doing things like this. Now, I know you said you took a lot. Is there anything in your notes and stuff that you want to cover or educate people before we move on to some guests that you may have written down that could be educational for some people out there?
And, we can wait when we go back to actually.
If you have something,
So, I got a lot of I got a lot written down. So, I over prepared.
That's okay. Is there anything that sticks out that you'd like to let people know, man? That because we'll cover other things. Who knows when the next one's going to be? It might be a bi-weekly thing or every other week or every week. Who knows? Is there anything on there that we've covered that you want to cover? I talk a lot. I know. I'll give you a chance.
That's all right. Like I said, I know that we'll end up hitting these individual lines more thoroughly in later episodes. I over prepared for an introduction episode. I mean, I have what years they came out, how many figures.
That's the details that I don't know that you do that I'd love to add. So if there's anything you want to add, let's see. Some people love your singing as well. Fits your. I said the same. I think the same thing.
He's my son.
Yeah. Well, it's true though. I mean, and it fits the music, and the fact that you do all the music is amazing to me. I mean, you do all the different instruments. That's just. I think about people that I've heard. And I know this is comparing us to someone who's really lofty, but it's the biggest opposite comparison I could think of is Prince. People think he was just a singer. No, the dude could whip out.
The dude was an amazing guitar player, amazing bass player.
He could bust out a trumpet or a saxophone. You name it. I think if you put anything in his hand, he can do it. So one of the most amazing performers ever. I would say, and that's just
definitely
to be able, as I said it earlier, to be able to do more than one instrument is pretty amazing. I still promise Drum Monkey and some other people I would do a stream down and where I have my drums set up and everything and jam out. I don't know how it would come across to try to play with a couple people, but I think having me and you and somebody else and trying to jam online, I wonder if it would work
definitely. Out. My bass is right over here.
Well, I don't have any drums, or else we could just. If I had something to start playing right away, there you go. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, LTD 5-string fretless.
LTD, how about it?
Yeah, ESP at LTD.
Now the band Pale that I play a lot of too on here. My friend Slack, who plays guitar, he's in love with the 7-string. He plays nothing but 7-string guitar, and he is unreal. And you guys have heard some of his music as well.
Yeah, and that's really popular.
The Weirdo Squad. You had a Weirdo Squad, cringe channel, but its songs are listener Euphoria with the vocals and guitar. That's awesome, man. Wow. That is a beautiful bass, right? That is an awesome bass. And I saw a keyboard back here too. So knowing how to play some of those instruments, I'm jealous. I said that earlier.
I got a guitar within reach too. There's instruments all over my apartment.
Well, I've showed a couple of my garden streams that I've come in and showed off the drum setup that I have. I was one of those guys where, and my bandmates used to always fuck with me and say, there's way too many drums. You don't need that many. I'm like, you could never have too many drums.
No.
I have roto toms. There's 3 of them that I would string in the middle of them, and I have at least 4 or 5 toms and a floor tom. I used to love the drum sets that have 2 floor toms too. I just never bought a second floor tom. Never really good at double bass, but I have a double bass pedal to do a little blast beats and stuff. I could never rock 8th notes or 16 notes on a double bass.
Yeah, my son is actually a drummer. That kid can rip double bass like a machine gun.
That I got a lot of respect for anybody who plays double bass. I could never really get the beats down sounding as well. It was all with my hands because I started in high school just playing snare and stuff. And my claim to fame was they had tri-toms, 3 of them for the band. And I thought, I don't want to play with 5 other guys with a snare. I want them damn tri-toms. So I learned as much, and I actually beat out the tri-tom player to steal his tri-toms and take them. And I was only a sophomore, and he was a senior. But I didn't care. But I was the type of person to make up my own stuff. I didn't even the band directors would give you a list of music. I would rip it up and just make my own. So, and I loved playing it. So, and Jack, that's awesome that you're a drummer. I'm a drummer. We got a Drum Monkey's a drummer. Some other ones here. And I'd love to, he bragging about his foot rhythm. I don't have good foot rhythm. I could do the double little blast beats, but I could never do. But I could never know like Metallica's one. No, I can't do it. I can't come close to it.
But I was just practice when he was little. I'd hear him like in his room, like doing it against the wall.
Elfie's a drummer too. I had mentioned that. But yeah, we didn't have a quad, but I'd love to have played the quads if we had them. I had 3. That was the best I could do. I just loved it. But we've talked about a lot. We've covered a little bit of backstory on my toys, his toys, and how things we collected as kids and still to this day. And we talked about the fact that these things have been collectibles now. It's cool to be a dork. It's cool to be a geek when it comes to things like this. It's not just toys. It turned into movies, turned into music. It turned into TV shows and stuff that are still going today.
Yeah.
He-Man and Transformers, we hit big time, along with the wrestling commercials. Video games. Tonight, we highlighted the Atari 2600, and I showed the commercial. For future shows, we will go more into different, maybe ColecoVision or Intellivision one time, or Nintendo will probably be the next one. That's a big one. We can cover a lot of Nintendo stuff. Did you have a Game Boy?
Yes. My sister did. I didn't.
My brother did, too. I didn't have a Game Boy, but I always took his and played it, so...
Yeah, that was how we did it. 'Cause the NES was mine, the Game Boy was hers, but we shared.
But we got 2 people that have been waiting very patiently to come on and talk to us about stuff, and I appreciate the patience. Just like on the Get Blaise Talk show, we cover a lot of stuff, and then we bring on some guests. So we talked about it being an hour. We're going to close in on 2 hours here, so we got about 15 minutes left to bring up Sega Dreamcast. Yes, too, Cody. That might be another one.
System. It was ahead of its time.
That's one I didn't have as much experience with. I had the Nintendo, and then down the street, my buddy had ColecoVision, and one had Intellivision. So I remember Intellivision's the one that had the big pad with all the...
Yeah, the big number pad, and the game would come with overlays that you'd put on the controller.
Yes, so it was like a keyboard, early keyboard based on there. The Commodore 64 was kind of a PC gaming combination. I can go all the way back to Apple IIe and Apple IICs that we had in grade school that I learned basic programming on. 10, 20, run, 40, go to 20. Remember old programming back in the day. And one of my roommates in college was a computer programmer, so I got to see these big stacks of books. He would learn A++ and stuff like that. And literally, by the time we graduated, the things he learned were obsolete. So it was or evolved, I should say, as well, not completely obsolete. And that's the same as us. The magazines are obsolete. A lot of the way these toys are made or have changed or evolved. But
they don't do a lot of hand sculpting anymore. It seems to be a lot of 3D printed sculpt.
Yeah. Well, when you got a computer that you can program to the smallest detail and have it print out, I can understand production-wise why it would do it. Now,
it loses some personality, though.
Yeah, well, if you go back to the actual... let's not run over our 40-year-old magazines here. We talked about starting lineups. And starting lineups went from just the regular figures to some of these really detailed, the McFarlane stuff, where you got
McFarlane sports figures are
super detail in a lot of these. And this is Barry Bonds, and I got maybe one or two other ones. But those ones really, and one of my famous, and this one, if I still had in the case, it would probably be worth a good penny too nowadays. But good old MJ, the GOAT, if you want to say GOAT. I'm not really a fan of that saying.
Is that the MJ with the hair?
Yeah, he actually does have hair. This is the first series of
money right there. I mean, I'm not big into the starting lineups, but I know that they fetch some money.
So a Michael Jordan original. I still have a couple that are, you can see in there, Magic Johnson, Akeem Olajuwon. They're still in their boxes, but they've kind of yellowed over time.
Yeah, the plastic breaks down.
And the plastic broke down on two of them.
Yeah.
But the Jordan ones, and they weren't very posable and stuff. These old school, but keeping them in boxes is what people.
Yeah, they weren't really action figures. They were slightly posable statues.
Yep. So we got two guests we're going to bring on, and it's kind of fitting because we got two different kind of generations here. And first, let's bring on Susie the Elf. Thanks for waiting, Susie. Are you there?
Hey, how are you guys? Great show.
Thank you. You got to watch from the back. I knew that. I'm glad. Thanks you for popping in and hanging out. So tell us about some of the toys you played with or collected when you were younger or now or whatever.
Well, I was a Star Wars girl.
Here.
I was a Star Wars girl. We had, you name it, we had it. Now, do you remember the Boba Fett that you could get from collecting like points or something off of a cereal box?
Yep, the mail-away Boba Fett controversy, yes.
We had 3 of those.
Wow.
We actually had 6 of them because we sent off for it, and then we didn't get it, and we didn't get it. And my mom wrote them a letter complaining because we didn't get our Boba Fett's. And so we got 3 in the mail, and then like a week or so later, we got another 3. And those were a limited number of that they had a limited number of those Boba Fett's.
A big shout out to Drum Monkey showing up in the live chat. The Action Max gun only system. How about that one back in the day? And we got Tiju 22. Yes, please, Pittsburgh for an NBA team. I'd love to see it.
The Boba Fett you're talking about, was it the one where the missile had on the backpack actually launched, or was it glued in?
I can't remember.
They banned a lot of those toys where
they had to reload 30 plus years ago.
Yep. No, but that's one thing we didn't touch base on. And a lot of these toys back then, you could either collect points off the boxes or stuff like that and send away for figures. Now, Nacho, you might know a little bit more. Was there any special edition He-Mans or Transformers and like those?
Well, there's the Wonder Bread He-Man that, as the fans call it, it was a mail away. That you had to collect so many things, mail it in, and it was your basic He-Man figure with no armor, black boots, brown hair, black belt, and brown underwear. But it's kind of a controversy about where it came from, what it came with, whether it was even a mail away. Nobody really knows.
Now, I remember some of the Star Wars ones, and they had several of them. But if you're talking Star Wars stuff, Susie, the big, huge ships and stuff, too, did you have some of those?
I'm the
Death
youngest
Star?
of 3. We had the Death Star play set.
Yeah.
It had the multiple levels, and it had the trash compactor.
Yeah, that thing was great.
It had that had the foam pieces in it. We had that.
G.I. Joe did mail away stuff too. That's another one.
Yes, they did. Sergeant Slaughter was originally a mail away for G.I. Joe.
Ooh.
But we had the Death Star play set. Each of us, I'm the youngest of 3. I have 2 older brothers. Each of us had X-Wing fighters.
Nice. Had a B-Wing.
Nice. I had an X-Wing.
Now, was it G.I. Joe that had an aircraft carrier? It was ginormous.
USS flag. Yep. Mine's at the bottom of the lake.
How much was that? You guys remember any prices or anything?
I
how
have
much that
no idea what my parents paid for. I know I got my ass.
That thing was
went in the lake.
That's
I'll really make you guys jealous. I had a remote control R2D2.
Nice.
Ooh. Did it make noises and stuff?
I don't remember what all it did. And then the remote broke, and my dad threw it away. I'm still pissed off at him about that, because even broken, that thing would fetch a lot of money today. But
vintage Star Wars is big money.
Yeah, and then we also had a Millennium. We still do have.
Don't say the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, the Millennium Falcon.
Did you have the actual ship, or was it the carrying case that opened up and you could put all your figures in it?
No, the actual Millennium
I had the Darth
Yeah,
Vader head that
Yeah.
collector thing. This is
Now my
one that
dad, my
has a little
dad
scope on
has
it.
the helmet for dressing up like Darth Vader. He has the helmet that comes apart into two pieces.
Yep.
Yeah,
Does
my
anybody
dad
remember
has.
this guy's name?
R5D4.
Yeah, the other droid.
Yeah, but yeah, we had a lot of Star Wars stuff, and then when we got to the point where we weren't playing with it as much, my mom
Oh, someone.
made us give it all away to my cousins, and
Oh
then
man.
I don't know what they did with it. We gave it to the cousins that would at least take care of it, but I didn't want to give it away.
Not
But
Ripper.
my
Ripper
mom
gave
made
his
us.
Falcon away, and his friend painted it gold.
Oh, right in the heart. Oh, you killed
Clint,
me.
let me talk for 1 second to Clinton, Ripper, Drum Monkey, all you guys in the chat. I want you guys to either, if you guys have pictures, send me pictures of any of your old toys and stuff for our next show. I'd love to show off other people's collections.
Yep.
If you have pictures or anything like that. And
Yeah,
if you have
we want to
anything,
have a show and tell segment. So
yeah, and you guys are more than welcome to come on and show off some toys too if you want. I want to really make this interactive. Me and Nacho kind of talked today, but
And Blaise,
yeah,
my ICQ number was 110610.
Now that's funny, Susie. Wait, I'm not making fun of Susie. We talk about it all the time that she has Susie brain, and I'm the same way. I'll forget. I don't even remember what I ate yesterday. And
Did I eat yesterday?
We're having bad memories, but you remember your damn ICQ number?
Yeah, I don't remember mine.
Must have used it a lot.
I was one of the originals on ICQ.
Wow.
I have one of the lowest numbers. There were a group of us that were one of the first people on ICQ. And that's one of the reasons. But yeah, 110610 was my ICQ number.
Nerf is something we haven't talked about. Now, back when I was the youngest, I had just the old school Nerf football. But damn, did that stuff take off?
Yeah, all the
we didn't talk about Hot Wheels either. I mean, I have a couple of Hot Wheels cars here, but Hot Wheels and Nerf are huge.
Oh, I've got a Hot Wheels story for you. My
Good.
brothers had a ton of Hot Wheels, and I don't remember if this was before I was born or when I was a baby, but they were acting up in the back seat. And my dad told them that if they didn't straighten up, he was going to take their Hot Wheels and throw them out the window.
What's Galactic Brownies? Is that one of your songs for Spider-Man?
And
an old song I wrote back in middle school.
Who are you, Chuck D? I don't know who this guy is. He knows people.
I don't know.
But,
might be one of my son's friends, maybe.
And no, I've seen him around on the shows. I think he might be from WU. I'm not sure.
But
and check out SoundCloud if you haven't already. Spider Rat on SoundCloud. Just put Spider Rat, and you'll find all of his songs. They are wild. They are awesome.
But yeah, so my brothers were acting up. My dad said if they didn't straighten up, he'd just throw their Hot Wheels out the window. So they decided that they would roll down the window and start throwing their Hot Wheels out one at a time to preemptively keep my dad from throwing out the Hot Wheels. Then when my dad figured out what they were doing, they got in so much trouble for throwing those Hot Wheels out the window.
The race tracks and stuff they had were pretty cool back then too. All the little plastic tracks you can build. I would use one that just had a real high side and just a big fat track for, I think it was an electric car or something, but I would take that son of a bitch and I would just throw my Matchbox cars around as many as I could.
Do you remember
the ones that climb the walls?
The racetrack with the gun that you would get and the cars would race around with the. Oh yeah, we had one of those at my grandparents' house.
Right? My brother brought up another great toy, and you guys tell me if you guys had. Well, I guess if you were a football fan, you might. Those little electric foot where you just turn on the whole field, it vibrated, and the dudes moved around. The electric football, those were pretty wild, man, back in the day. Yeah. He brought that up when I was telling my brother we're doing this, and he was like, "What about the electronic football and stuff?" I was like, "Man." And Stratomatic was a very cool game back in the day. It was football, baseball, hockey. It was kind of like E-Fed for basketball. You know, you can make up your own characters. You know, it was all on paper, so it was a board game. So Stratomatic was a big game too. We didn't even touch board games. We could talk about those for days too.
Yeah, board games is a whole.
That's I mean, this platform we could really go a million different ways and have some fun with it, man. So I invite all you guys to send me ideas.
Atari. Now I played a lot of Atari. We had an Atari system. That was something else that my mom gave away. I wish she hadn't have. Even though we weren't playing with it, I wish she hadn't given away our Atari. My game was barnstorming. I
Great
could play.
game.
Oh man, I played a
Great game.
million hours of barnstorming. My brothers, the Pitfall was another one. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Good game. E.T. Remember the E.T. game?
Yeah.
We didn't have ET.
That ET game's worth money because they used a lot of them for a landfill, and so there's not that many of them, so they became a rarity.
Yeah, and then
I want to know where that landfill is. I want to go dig it.
They actually did a documentary where they went and found it and dug and found ET games.
Wow. I mean, I'm sure some of them were kind of damaged or messed up if they threw them in the landfill, but you never know.
Just to have them. Yeah.
I mean, if we ever do like Sega and Atari or Nintendo and stuff like that more in depth, I mean, I'd love to get my brother on. He knows a lot about that stuff and other friends.
Yeah, and I had a Game Boy, and my game was Tetris.
It was awful. It was a tough game.
Tetris.
Was the queen of Tetris.
Tetris is a great game. Did you know that all the figures had names? Did you know that?
I did not know.
Me either.
Yeah,
inside the instruction booklet, they had names for. I just called them L, box, line.
They're all Russian because Tetris is Russian. Yeah. Tetris means 4.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
Yeah, there was a company called Tengen that actually put it out first.
Before we, really?
Yeah.
Now, did you know that if you played level 10, where they have the blocks that already on the screen, and then you had to get 10 lines, make 10 lines disappear? Did you know that on level 10 that every time, like, you start at 0 and then like a Russian dancer would appear, and then at level 1 another one would appear, and then when you finally got to level 10, they would have all of the Russian dancers from it appear, and they would dance, and then the space shuttle would take off. Did you know that?
A lot of those games had those little Easter eggs and things that you didn't know about. I think that's really clever. Like, that might be an idea for a future show too, to kind of think of some of the underground things that are part of games that people might not know.
I mean, people are still finding stuff in old retro games that people have never discovered before.
Talking about my sister on Pac-Man, there used to be a thing. You go the same way every time. You beat all the levels.
Mm-hmm.
There was legitimately a way to
pattern.
Go.
Yeah, there's a pattern. Yeah, there's a pattern. But people would have me take and play level 10 on my Tetris and stop it right before the 10th level would appear. And then I'd have to hand them my Game Boy so that they could watch all of the Russian dancing in the space shuttle.
I remember, like, was it like Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man? And when you win so many things, they would have the little scenes at the end with the two to come together and all the weird stuff. Well, let's get this guy playing his Game Boy on here. The man, Riley Wolf, not paying any attention. Unmute yourself, my friend, because I want to hear that glorious voice.
I was playing Phase 10.
Welcome, Riley. Still can't hear you. That's not a bad thing. I'm not really complaining. You're going to rant and rave and yell and scream. Maybe try leaving it. I can't hear a damn thing you're saying. Some people aren't going to complain, but maybe try leaving and coming back. No, you have no audio, bro.
Wait, I got it.
There it is. Yay! Welcome.
Yep. I have a whole thing with my audio. Yeah, I was just playing Tetris just now.
Nice. So, Riley, we got 3 old people here, and I'm not insulting these guys. Susie and Nacho know. We know we're older people. We're the 70s.
Of us are about the same age.
Yeah, we're the 70s. I'm 48. I'm not ashamed
44.
So am I. I'll be 49 this month.
So it's funny. We were in Pete's stream earlier, and someone thought he was like 70 years old. And I was like, dude, he's younger than me. He's 44. He's the same age as you, Nacho. So, Riley, you're a younger generation. You're how old?
I am 23 years old.
23. So 23, and so you heard us talking about all these old games, these arcade and pinball and stuff that was way before you were born. Tell us a little bit about some of the toys and things that you've collected over the years to come to today.
So I'm a little boring. I was into wrestling my whole life. I was brought into wrestling. So when it comes to action figures, all I really had was wrestling. Like I would get like the occasional, because like the new Spider-Man would come out, and like I was into Spider-Man for like a month. I'd get a Spider-Man toy, and I was like, wow, that's cool. Or the new Batman would come out, or something like that. I'd occasionally get that. I'd get a Lego piece every now and then, but the major thing was wrestling figures. I grew up I got hand-me-downs from my brothers, which I would later on learn to be bone-crunching action, R3 Tech, Jax, the beginning of Jax with this aggression. And I would say my peak of collecting would be like mid to late Jax Ruthless Aggression era into early Mattel. So like still relatively new, but like now getting older, you know, like it's not, my generation is now becoming that prime target for nostalgia bait, where things of my childhood are getting expensive because we have a disposable income now.
Exactly. That's what tends to drive these retro pushes. Like whatever gets popular is what generation is growing up and having disposable income.
And we're the generation of teachers that told us, it's not like you're going to have a calculator in your pocket all the time. You got to memorize this, you got to memorize that. And now we literally have the world at our hands with cell phones and smartphones. Not only a calculator, but any research you want, Google anything, research anything to find out information. I mean, schools should probably be just using smartphones and computers and stuff like that. I didn't have computers when we were in grade school and stuff. We just started. So it's definitely a huge generation gap, but the passion is the same. Like the way you started talking about wrestling figures, it's something you love. Like toys are an extension of your own person, if you ask me.
That's how my brothers and I felt about Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
Star Wars figures is how you talk about your wrestling figures.
And like, it was tough because, in my point of view, if you look back, like to get all the Transformers, or to get all the He-Man, or all the G.I. Joe, or if you collected 4 or 5, there's no way you're going to buy all of them. Now, the prices weren't as expensive back in the days. Like, how much does a regular wrestling figure cost nowadays? 50, $20?
Well, $20.
Yeah, 20 to it's hiking up in price because of the detail that's going in, because of the articulation that's going in. Like if you go to say a secondhand retailer, they'll be selling newer stuff at a bit hiked up prices. So you could be looking at $25 to $30 if you're not going to major retailers.
But these were like $2, $3 when we were a kid. Like they were only a couple dollars. Matchbox cars were 50 cents. I mean, like, and of course the dollar and the price of everything and inflation has changed drastically. And on the WrestleSense podcast, they were talking about those chase figures, which are just, 1 out of 50, 1 out of 100, 1 out of 30. That just the rarity of those toys are going to make them expensive as shit, which I get it because I'm a sports card collector too. Same thing. The rarer the toy is, and that goes along with the mail order stuff we talked about. And people in the chat were talking about other stuff too, like the G.I. Joe Sergeant Slaughter and the things that you had to mail away for, the Star Wars ones that were very limited. Technology is not poison, Jack. Your dad should be teaching you better than that. It's how you use it. That's how I preach.
How you use it.
Yes.
It's a tool.
That's how I preach when I sold cell phones, and people always said, I don't need internet on my phone. I don't want this. That's too much that. Social media is garbage. It's all how you use it, people. That's how I look at it.
It's just a tool to do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, just like anything else. If you use it wrongly or you don't use it for good, you got to use it for good. That's about it. And the way we're using this platform to bridge generations, to educate. Now, I've learned a lot today from Nacho, from Susie, and even from Riley. Just in the little things that people know. I want to learn more. That's what I think YouTube should be more about, is meeting new people, learning new things all the time. Yes, there's bad. And the anonymity of YouTube, I've talked about a million times. You're going to have people that want to mess with you, that want to say bad things, that want to knock you down for what you do. No matter how you do it or what you do, just be proud and blessed that you have the ability to do these things today and reach such a great audience. What about gaming, Riley? Let's talk about gaming a little bit more instead of toys. We talk about video games as well. What video game systems have you used and you play in your 22 illustrious years of living, and what do you pride yourself in liking the most?
Oh, gaming was my forte. Like, of course, as a child, I was like, toys are fun to play with, but like, gaming really hit the market. I grew up on the PlayStation 2 era, but I also was just old enough where the internet was in its infancy. And the people that were producing content on an original basis, people that were just sole creators, were people that were nostalgic over the 80s stuff, the NES, the Super Nintendo. So I got big into that as well. I got big into the history of video games as well. So my collection's actually quite insane. Like right now, I'm over 600 video games, or give or take. I have a whole just like I have to put my collection down on a website just to keep track of everything I have, because it's out of control.
But now a lot of it's digital and stuff nowadays. So if someone had 600 Atari games, like, where the hell are you going to store all that shit? But nowadays it all comes, like, we even said this, is back in the day, Atari, you had to buy all the cartridges. Now you get like 30, 40 games on something little like this.
Yeah,
the little flashback unit.
And then the days of the Diablos and the Dooms and the first person shooters, all those things where those games have evolved into the Fortnites of the world, and these games that are so damn creative and amazing. They're literally, GTA has blown up into the little worldly thing. Like, those games still blow my mind to this day.
I can't believe there's still people playing Minecraft.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically
there's so much you can do with it and build. I mean, it looks like an old school game, but to watch some people actually build things from the ground up, again, an extension of them in what they build.
Yep. It is surreal. But going back to the whole digital stuff, I pride myself on my collection being about 99% physical. Excuse me.
That's
right
cool.
behind my computer. If I can actually slide this over.
Yeah, I'm a guy of CDs and tapes and 8-tracks and VHSs. Very cool.
PS2.
You're cutting out. I knew that was going to happen as soon as he
60. Yeah, I pride myself on just a vast collection physically.
Yeah, that's physical media is, unfortunately will become a thing of the past. And there's something I remember in a movie that kind of struck me back in the day. If you watch closely in Back to the Future 2, there is an alley scene where the car is there. And behind the car, there are big, huge, wrapped boxes, it looks like. Big, huge squares. And they are CDs that are just compounded into one big square. And when I saw that, it kind of struck me and went like, you know what? As wild as CDs and DVDs are, I can see them being obsolete someday, because knowing how technology is going to evolve and digital stuff coming along. And it struck me and went, wow. And I see a lot of places already getting rid of DVDs, the record stores. There's no, records. Now, vinyl has made a huge comeback recently.
Vinyl's a nostalgia thing now, too. It's collectible.
So digital, like physical media, like you're saying, Riley, there's something about it that just, for me, it was the tapes, the inside covers that would have the lyrics.
Yeah,
or
card,
a backstory of the band. The DVD, I actually have, I don't have it up here, I think it's downstairs, 2 posters that I made from DVD sleeves, just the covers, and I put all my favorite bands in them, and it's like something I love to look at, just to remember how it used to be, because now, and like, it's a lot different. Like, how do you find out who's new? You got to go look for it. Before, you went to the music store and you'd find who's come out, and here's the new releases, here's this. Now it's like, unless you're getting Spotify or Apple Music or other things, like, you got to go find the music. So that's a whole nother conversation. Music.
Now most everything is digital. Music, movies.
Yep.
Yeah. Now,
you guys remember when Netflix was mail order?
Oh yeah.
I used to work at a place that processed the DVDs when they used to do the whole mail thing, where you kind of like a library, you'd get the DVDs in the mail, send them back, get new ones.
Anybody been a member of the Columbia House Record Club back in the day?
Yeah.
That's how I almost ruined that's how I started my credit and almost ruined it back in the day. Well, I was smart enough to have like 10 different aliases, and they don't care if it's the same house, that you could rejoin Columbia House. Do you know what that is, Riley?
Name?
You know Columbia? So it's a record membership, and you'd pay a penny.
mail order.
Yeah, you would pay
membership.
a penny and get 10 DVDs or 12 DVDs or 20 DVDs. But then in the next year, you had to buy like 10, or the next year you had to buy 20. You had to. It was a subscription. But the sucker you in was for 1 penny, you get 12 DVDs. Hell yeah, I'm doing that. Especially if you used the fake names and you never had to fulfill the subscription. So that's one way to pad your. And then I was a huge advocate for Napster. I was a big Napster person.
Metallica versus Napster.
Yep, Napster and all those LimeWire and all those ways. I would download movies and music and so much. A lot of the music that I have stored is from that era. I just kept it from there because, back then you could just do whatever you want. Record exchange in Boise, trading, and physical media is huge. We could sit here and talk about that forever. I have a huge DVD collection, CD collection. I have a stack of 8-track tapes. Yes. Actually, my uncle, who was huge in technology back in the day, he had a Betamax whenever those came out. You guys,
and Betamax was actually better quality than VHS. It just was huge as shit.
Now I gotta, the boxes were
Same
huge.
problem
He had
with
a big Beta.
Huge.
Now he took it a step further, and I never knew this really would existed if it wasn't for my uncle. He had mixtape 8-tracks. So he had an 8-track recorder where he would take music off the radio or vinyl, and he would literally give us 8-track tapes that would have 20 different songs from different. He had a mixtape 8 tracks. So it blew my mind back in the day how he was doing that stuff. So a lot of my technology, like I never learned how to build an engine or drive a stick or any of that cool stuff that a lot of my hick friends around here learned. But I was into technology big, and to see technology, toys, cartoons, games evolve to now that I'm actually doing a live stream on it, that's crazy. And it really comes full circle. BMG is another one just like Columbia. I was a BMG member for a million times. Yeah. So, I mean, we covered a lot of stuff, man. This is great stuff. I had a blast. Nacho busted his internet cherry today. He is brand new. He's and like I said, if you wouldn't have said it, I don't think anyone would have even known this is like the first time you've done that. I gave him the option just to come on and shoot the shit with an avatar, but hey, I'm so glad you came on and hang. I could thank you a million times.
Yeah, I figured if I was going to pop my cherry, I should pop it all the way.
You did too, man. You got me jealous because all the hair you got. Son of a bitch.
Go big or go
little
home,
bit
right?
jealous.
Yeah,
since I cut all my hair off.
Your age,
back in summer.
You're a baby.
I cut it all off.
Riley could legitimately be our son or grandson. I'm really thankful you came on to get a different perspective. Some of the young, the things that, and to still have digital media, younger, and respect that. I appreciate that. And Susie.
And you two have more gray hair than I do.
Oh, you can't even tell that I have a beard because it's so damn lame and it's all gray.
I got like a reverse Hulk Hogan. I got gray here.
For me, shaving my head so much, though, the back isn't gray yet. Yeah, so my brother's actually trying to pass me up in the grayness. So, Riley, don't worry. One of these days, your shit will be great.
Here. That's it.
Oh, I'm already starting with the whole, with the wrestling. It's taxing on my body, so I'm already seeing a gray or two in there.
Yeah, how is that coming along?
You can't even have more gray hair than I do.
How is that coming along? I mean, physically, are you still learning new moves every time?
Definitely. You learn something new every time you get in there. You're either learning something new or you're fine-tuning what you've already learned. But the more and more I come in, the more I am able to learn more. Like just the other day, I took a pedigree from Red. And then right after gave him a crossbody off the top rope.
Nice. Now that's enough to tell your kids and grandkids right there.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you, and you're a skinny dude. You're a thin dude like me. I've been a twig my whole life. How does that? It's got to be kind of tough to take bumps when you don't have a bunch of thickness like fat and stuff on you like a big huge guy. Yeah, no padding. So.
Yeah, especially when I started. I was skinnier when I started. I was like, those people that could cuff their entire hand around their wrist and they still have space. I was that.
My waist.
I was that.
What about weight?
So
Are you training to like gain weight, add more muscle? See, I'm the type of person I could lift all my life and never gain muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So
the thing about weight gain is it's all about the eating. It's all about like I'm at 5 meals a day now, and it sucks. Putting on weight sucks just as bad as losing weight, if not more. But like that's debatable, you know.
I as a person trying to lose weight, I would rather put on weight than lose it.
I used to always stay younger too. You know, I was, not really mad about, being skinny, but it took a toll on me. Like I was a basketball player. So over the years of jumping and landing and jumping and landing, that's why I have bad discs in my back. My neck is messed up, and I was an idiot. I'd never pro wrestled or nothing, but I'd throw my brother around. We would do wrestling.
Oh, yeah, we backyard wrestling.
And as much as you can learn to land or hit the small and try not to land here and use your arms and it hurts, man. It hurts just to land. And so, like, do you get bruised up and stuff like that where you got to heal? And
oh yeah, I get bruised up all the time. Like less and less now that I know what I'm doing. But just the other day, I came back with a bruise like that looked like a baseball on my elbow, like just from landing wrong on a front bump. Yeah, you get really messed up as a smaller dude, but it's all about up here. At the end of the day, if you want it that bad enough, you will go through all those pressures, all those pains. You'll see the people coming in and out. You'll see the people that are like, yeah, I'll do it. Take one bump. And it's like, I'm not sure if I can do this. It's all about that mental tenacity to overcome all those physical pains, the doubt in your mind. Because as a wrestler, you get that almost as much as you get those feelings of like, wow, this is cool.
Well,
you gotta have that mental toughness.
I took a very light, probably 50% chop to the chest from my friend Ray, who was DH Bruiser when he wrestled, and I told him to take it easy on me because I'm skinny. But I said, let me take a chop. Let me take a chop. It hit me with about 50%, and it hurt like hell. So I mean, we wish you the best, Riley, in your training. Thank you so much for joining and having. Definitely keep us up to date on the WrestleSense podcast and stuff whenever you can. Those guys are really intrigued, and we'll be glad to follow you along in your journey. Thanks for joining the show and giving us a different perspective. Do you have any final words before we take off?
Just support your local independent wrestling. Wrestling is so important to me, and as much I want to make sure that anytime I get a platform, I make sure to help what I love the most. And one of the two constants in my life that I've had from day one, support your local independent wrestling, support wrestling, because wrestling is amazing.
Yeah, and play with toys, love wrestling. Don't be ashamed of it. It's become cool nowadays for all these toys that have turned into movies and huge things and collector's items. And, there was a time back in the day where, people were like, oh, you're a wrestling fan? Well, no, man, it's full blown worldwide, very acceptable. It's an entertainment value beyond a lot. So I definitely thank you for your time, Riley, and being a part of the show. Susie, any final words from the Elf?
Just check out all the great shows here on the DWS. Check out the DWS calendar if you haven't done so you can keep up to date on what's going on.
There's one thing I never really got into, but I know it's big right now, is Funko Pops.
Yeah, I'm not big on them.
Yeah, that is really huge.
I get why people like them, but they're not for me.
Yeah, they're not for me either, but they're so wide range. Like, you get Funko Pops of everything.
That's why I'm not going down that rabbit hole. If I start collecting them, I'm going to want everything.
Thank you, Matt. That's what we want to do. We want to bring back memories.
Funko Pops are kind of like a bobblehead without the bobble.
Yeah, they're like little statues.
Yeah, that's a good, and kind of like almost like a plushy action figure with a big head, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Riley Wolf. You're like a human Funko Pop. An action figure with a big head. Figuratively big head. But that's good in the wrestling world. You got to have that confidence. That's one thing that I didn't have when I was younger, to be able to do something like that. So kudos to you.
Yep, you got to have that energy. You got to have that charisma. Could you believe I was a the quiet kid.
Yeah. I told you about my brother who was the quiet kid too. Next thing you know, he's screaming in a metal band. So it just goes to show. And I mean, I'll get on my soapbox for a second. Anything you want to do out there, people, just give it a shot. You know, if you have a passion, if you have something that you love, don't go through the world without at least trying it once. Find someone who's good at it. Learn from them. Learn from several people. Go outside of your wheelhouse. Go outside of your comfort zone. I'm doing it now. Nacho, you know, we've never done a show together, but when you're passionate about something, when you really love something, don't let anybody tell you can't do it.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Nacho, my man, my awesome friend. The knowledge that you bring is amazing. I look forward to doing a lot more of these shows. Do you have any final words here for the people out there before we take off?
Not really.
A man of
you
few,
guys
man of
have
few
kind
words.
of covered everything.
We did cover a lot, man. And what we expected to be a 1 hour show, we're closing on 2.5. I appreciate and me and Nacho have been planning this out for less than a week.
Yeah, about
Literally,
that.
Not even really a week. I mean, it came to in my live stream the other night when we started talking about toys and games and stuff. So I was hoping it would be this much fun. I was hoping that the people in the live chat, like they have come along. And like I said, before we go, send me pictures of your collections. If you're watching, you got any toys out there. We did slideshows earlier. If you missed it, check it out. We watched some really fun old commercials. I'll find some more. So, and if you guys want to be a part of the show, by all means, reach out to me. Facebook, Twitter, Skype, drop into my DMs. Let me know what you collect. Give me some information. I'd love to learn more about the world of collecting toys and games.
You want to see my penguins?
I thought you were going to say something nasty. And I was like, hey, now.
That's why my son says "fuck Radio Rex," even though I don't know what that is.
Yeah, yeah. He's slowly become one of the most hated personas here in the digital world. And
hold on, which way? See,
yeah, there he is.
Penguins.
I see him waddling
There's
around
one of
back here.
Nice.
Is that Waddles? That's not Waddles, is it?
Oh no, that's not Waddles. Waddles is really big. Waddles is a big penguin.
I want to thank all the members of the channel for supporting. This is why we're doing stuff like this. I paid $25, I think, dollars a month to have the extended StreamYard so we can get the Legion of Dork logo up there, so we can have more guests in here, so we can do more videos. So I appreciate it. Those members are making this happen. So whether you're spending $1, $2, or $3, whatever you can afford, if you don't, just showing up in the live chat is plenty. But I do have to thank all the members of the channels for help making this possible as well. This is just the tip of the iceberg, people. We're going to do a lot of fun shit on this channel. And 2022 is going to be even more amazing with the wrestling, with the Wrestle Sense, with the NFL Red Zone, much more, and definitely with much more toys and fun right here in the Legion of Dork. Join the Legion of Dork, people. Don't be ashamed. Peace out, everybody. Say goodbye, people. Susie,
bye, people.
Nacho, say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And we're off the air.